Hey everybody, this is Kyle, aka Vulcan Wolverine, aka Vulcan Wolverine 2. It's about 4:30 in the morning, where I am in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It is February 5th, 2020. Let me turn my video off here. Okay, there we go. And it is my birth month this month. February 21st is my birthday. I don't know. I just wanted to mention that to you guys, just in case y'all want to give me a present or something like that. And welcome to anybody coming in the chat. I know it's really late at night or early in the morning, depending on where you're at and depending on how long you've stayed up. But I really wanted to do a live stream. I had a hard time getting my Zoom working. Like we had a panel a couple of days ago, and I really want to thank everybody, Laura and Ella Advocate and Wayne. It was a great panel, and my attackers were freezing up my Zoom at the end, so we had to kind of end it early, but it was a great panel. But tonight, and just welcome any targeted individuals coming into chat. I hope you're doing really good. I hope you're really getting through this stuff, finding defenses, and I hope you're, not feeling a lot of pain. I know that's like easier said than done, right? I think we're all in a lot of pain, but tonight I wanted to go through an article on neuroweapons, but first I wanted to, and hey, Native says, hi, Kyle, how are you? My friend, love you, brother, love you too, Native. Are you doing okay? I'm kind of struggling. I'm struggling, and my body's getting really cooked. My head's getting cooked, but I'm still using the defenses and getting through it. Kind of trying to think of ways that we can just get the word out more. Hey, Wayne, how you doing, man? Wayne says, hello, Sir Wolverine. And let me show you guys. I'm sure a lot of y'all have already seen this, but I want to bring it up on my channel and just show y'all this because Autumn put it up a couple of days ago, and it's really important information. Let's see. Okay, that's not it. I want to pull up this. I think probably a lot of y'all have watched this. This is the Dr. James Adorno on close range neuroweapons, psychotronics, and mind control. I think it was originally on Kristen Conklin's channel, but Autumn posted it on her channel. Thank you, Autumn, so much. And another target individual shared it with me. I'm gonna go through this. Like I'm gonna go through some important things that he said. It was kind of messed up because he's talking about close range neuroweapons, and he said things like, no organized programs of torture and experimentation exist for this on the books. He said on the books. So I really, at this point, like, I think that we need to look into what Dr. James G. Adorno is saying. Obviously, he does know about neuroweapons and neuroscience and neurotechnology. But I do think he is a disinfo agent. I think he's a straight up disinformation agent. He talks about a lot of these truths because they know that they're coming out, but then he throws in a huge lie that this can't be done from long range. So it's a huge misdirection. And I think that he knows that it's going on, right? Like he knows people are being tortured and experimented on. But he kind of just says, oh, well, nothing's on the books. He has a plausible deniability because he hasn't seen any kind of they don't give him the documents on them torturing people, but he has people contacting him all the time saying they've been implanted, saying they've been experimented on. He also says, so people are always asking, what do we do? We're being attacked, we're being murdered, we're being tortured. What can we do? And what he says, he gives the advice of, go to a doctor, definitely go seek medical attention and tell them that you're being hit by these weapons. And I'm going to go through a lot of these things that he said. Like I'm going to do on my next live stream, I'm going to go through a lot of important things that he said and kind of add to it or kind of correct it, because he has a lot of misdirection in here. I would say, like, I always talk about the defenses and the shielding, especially like grounding in Dave Case's CD, passive shielding on the head and things like that. I would agree with him to go get medical help if you're just in a situation where you feel like you're about to die, where your attackers are about to stop your heart, or you feel like, your head's just getting bashed in. But I would not tell them that you're being hit by these weapons. I feel like that's very dangerous advice. It's very dangerous advice from somebody like James Giordano, who knows that if you tell a doctor about these weapons and that you're being hit by them, you're going to be put into a mental facility, and he knows that. Like, so, even though he's talking about this, and that's good, there was a lot of it seemed like very, very purposeful misinformation. He's talking about devices that kill rats and roaches and stuff like that, which these weapon systems, these neuroweapon systems, are a lot bigger than that, and they use an infrastructure that's set up globally. So this close range neuroweapons thing that he's talking about, very, 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 very much, how do you say that? My mind is kind of like being cooked. It's a lot of disinformation, because it's purposeful, I think, and it's misdirection. But it's good that he's talking about it, right? It's good that he's talking about these things. When he said, like, oh, well, no organized programs are on the books, like, he says it a certain way where you just know that he knows that this stuff is going on. I think I would go so far as to say that he's actually involved in some of this. But please, my main point about this is go watch it. I've watched it once, and I'm going to watch it again, and I'm going to find the really important stuff that he talks about. He says that these, weapons are about like this size or whatever, but what we're being hit with, if you're being hit remotely, is a big integrated directed energy weapons platform using infrastructure, using drones, using over the horizon radar, using wind towers, using microwave towers, and 5G. And another targeted individual, they texted me, and they were saying that even, some of us, well, probably a lot of us, are being actually hit with like 7G technology. So it's way more advanced than even just 5G. And I'm going to read some stuff tonight. We'll hang out. I don't think I'm going to do a panel tonight, but I'll be doing probably a panel this weekend. I'm not sure if my Zoom is going to hold up. I'm not sure if my attackers are going to freeze it up. We'll kind of see. But I thought, since I was up, I got up at like 2 o'clock or something like that, or 1 o'clock. And it's probably like 2 o'clock this morning. And I thought I better put out some information. A lot of other people are putting out really, really good information. So check out, definitely, probably everybody who watches my videos watches Autumn's videos, but definitely go to Autumn's channel, Autumn Targeted New Zealand. Subscribe to her, give her thumbs up on her videos that she's posting, and watch this one especially, because I'm going to go over some specific parts on probably my next live stream. It's really important information, and it's kind of a we can look at this interview with James Giordano coming out, and we can kind of see, okay, well, they're talking about this now, so they know it's going to come out. But we need to be careful, and we need to correct information, because we're targeted individuals that are being hit remotely with this stuff. And we've got somebody who's an expert in neurotechnology saying, well, it's a lot of close range things. And that's real disinformation. I'm still unsure. Like, most of me, the biggest percentage of me is like saying he's telling disinformation. He's a part of this. He has to tell disinformation because he doesn't want his family to get murdered by this stuff. So he's going to talk about it in a certain way, right? He's being really, really careful about what he says when he knows many, many people around the globe are being experimented and tortured on. So when we watch this new stuff coming out and these experts talking about it, I think we need to jump on it and kind of correct it. I don't know how much difference that's going to make. I think it's good that it's just being talked about, but it is, I really do see it as purposeful disinformation. It's talking about the issue, it's talking about neuroscience, it's talking about the abuses of neuroscience, but then it's saying, well, there's nothing really on the books, and there's millions of people being experimented on by integrated neuroweapon systems, integrated directed energy weapon systems. So I'm going to go through specific things that he says, like on my next live stream. I really want to read an article that I've kind of had up on up on deck lately. I've been busting my brain lately, just thinking about ways that we can get awareness out, thinking about just thinking about what I want to do, to make my own life better, to help you guys. I've even kind of been thinking, because I've been making videos for like 6 or 7 years. I've been really rolling it around in my head that I may need to take like a self-imposed like month-long break, where I kind of just really meditate, really get with God, really just kind of step away from social media and stuff. Although I've been very lucky, so I'm not complaining. Like I don't, because I have great moderators and stuff like that. I don't have a lot of people causing trouble in my chat or anything like that. Even if there are, community placed agents or cyber hackers or anything like that getting paid, my moderators kind of take care of that. And, I haven't had much trouble, but I kind of want to see how my attackers would react to it. And I think the only way that that's going to happen, the only way that I'm going to be able to take a break is to say, okay, guys, I'm going to have to tell y'all, like, hey, I'm taking a month-long break. And then that's the only way that it's going to happen. Because if I don't, I'm going to want to come back and make videos and be like, I'm bored and stuff like that. I'm really being target hard. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about it. I'm just kind of, because I haven't stopped in so long, and I just want to see what the difference would be. And I kind of want to unravel my mind a little bit. My mind is getting pushed and pushed by psychic driving, remote neural manipulation. It's getting me in this, my head's spinning, right? And then I'm dealing with other stuff on top of the targeting that's just really stressing me out. So I don't know. I just wanted to kind of let y'all know about that I'm kind of thinking about it a little bit. And I definitely wouldn't be quitting or anything. I don't think we even have the choice to quit fighting. I'm opening up my chat room, guys, so I can see y'all and read y'all's chats. I know a lot of people probably aren't up right now. Hey, Ella Advocate says, in Autumn's in the chat. Yeah, everybody go and watch that video on Autumn's channel. And hey, New Type says, this Giordano video broke my heart to hear him so dodgy with his answers and explanations. Yeah, like a targeted individual sent me this video, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. He's talking about neuroweapons, and then I heard what he was saying about them and how he was really like saying, oh, well, it's not on the books that this is organized torture. Like he knows, and that's disinformation. It did. I texted the targeted individual that sent me this back, and I said, he's a straight up liar. That was my first response. My first response is like, he's talking about neuroweapons, but he's straight up lying about how big this is and how it's proliferated globally. He's working on the European Brain Project right now, or maybe he's done with that, but he was for a while. And I was just like, man, this guy is a freaking liar, and he's a purposeful liar. It is disheartening when it's like the people who are the experts on this technology. Well, we have Robert Duncan and John Hall and Barry Trower and some experts that are really just talking about the whole thing, and they're telling the truth. But when James Giordano is somebody who people would listen to about this technology, and I think that's the whole thing. And I'm not saying they wouldn't listen to John Hall, Dr. Duncan, and Barry Trower. I'm just saying, like, he's an advisor to the Pentagon. So this is something that normal people would hear who aren't being targeted, and they're like, oh, these weapons do exist, right? So then he's saying, oh, well, there's no program on the books where people are being experimented on these things. Then they're going to just take that at face value, right? So yeah, I felt the same way, New Type. My heart sunk, and I was like, this guy is a freaking liar. he talks about neuroethics and cognitive liberty, and he knows that this stuff is going on around the world. And I mean, it's purposeful not speaking out about it because he's part of the system. You know, he's part of the system. He's gonna, but it's a good sign, right? That they have to talk about it. It's coming out so much. People are starting to understand that it's happening. They have to talk about it, but they're going to talk about it in a certain way so they can stall more. They can stall and try to keep these programs going. And we've got to somehow jump in there and just tell the full story. You know, maybe like, you know, most of us have smaller YouTube channels, but we still have to do it. You know, we still have to do it and just spread that information, infect people with the truth and what's really happening. Yeah, so Autumn's doing an awesome job. Like, she's finding such important information. She also put up a video after this on Ronnie Kilda, who is somebody that every target individual needs to study. Ronnie Kilda needs to look at interviews that she's done. She had verified information on gang stalking, like a gang stalking manual. She talked about these weapons, like, and she was the chief, I think it was a chief medical officer or chief surgeon of Finland. I may be getting that wrong. I really need to look up facts and stuff. I kind of just, you know, say stuff sometimes. Yeah, Native says, praying for you, Kyle, Wayne, Ella, and all TIs. Me too. We're going to say a prayer at the end of this live stream. We're definitely going to say a prayer. We need belief and faith. And I don't know, like, I don't know where all this is leading, but I know that God can give us victory in our lives. I know that there's good forces in the universe that, you know, they don't like what's happening. They don't like this men trying to play God and causing all this horror on the earth. And now there's, you know, the coronavirus, many things, like America's being destroyed from the inside. Like, we all know that, in other countries too. They're trying to take our guns. It's like a takedown program where they're trying to destroy all the countries and create the new world order, right? Create this to make countries ashes and then build them back up to whatever they want. We know, everybody knows that that's happening. Also, let me read Ella Advocate's comment. Ella Advocate says, Dr. G. Dorno had a fundraising account apparently to help targeted individuals against the psychotronic weapons. If he wants to support it not happening, he would have resigned. Yeah, he would have resigned. I mean, he's talking about neuroethics. Wayne Moore says phone's going to die. Well, thanks for coming, Wayne. Yeah, all my electronics are very dodgy. Like the other night, it's just like my Zoom was just freezing and I couldn't see anybody on the panel. So apparently the people on the panel were saying some really important stuff that my attackers are getting kind of fed up with me keeping making these videos. You know, oh well, whatever, you know, they're murderers and traitors. So who cares what they want? Oh, thank you, Ella Advocate. Ella Advocate says, Kyle, we understand. Don't stress. We just worry about you when we don't hear from you. And I'll let you guys hear from me. I'll let y'all know. Like, if I'm gonna take a month hiatus, because I kind of want to see what would happen to my mind and my emotions and what my attackers would do, because I've never done it. Like, I was supposed to, you know, if you guys know, I did a November video bomb in 2018. It was November of 2018. And that was supposed to be it for me. I was like, I'm going to do a video every month, then I'm gone, right? But I said, this is what I say, and this is a hard thing, because sometimes we're disconnected from the good information. Like, everybody's putting out all this good information, but YouTube is kind of cutting us off from each other. They're not actually sending important videos that we watch to targeted individuals and spreading the information right. So in my mind, I'm like, well, you know, I want to keep making videos and getting information out until the ball starts really rolling, until a bunch of targeted individuals start really coming out with tons of great information. And then I feel like, okay, well, this ball is rolling, and I'm you know, I can kind of bow out at least for a little while. But I've never been quite satisfied. That's a, you know, I think that I'm wrong on a lot of, yeah, I'm wrong on that, because there's tons of great information coming out. It's a perspective thing, right? It's like, I just don't see it changing enough. I don't see enough good information coming out where I'm satisfied with kind of like with taking a break. That's that's a perception thing though. That's not actually what's happening. So I deal with a lot of that stuff where I'm like, this is how I see it, but that's not actually what's happening. And I think that's what we deal with a lot with the targeting. I think information is coming out, things are getting better, but we just don't see it because everybody, we're blind to what's really happening in the world. You know, we have small channels and small organizations, well, big organizations like Freedom for Targeted Individuals, PACs, Targeted Justice, but it just doesn't seem like it's like boom. You know, it's changing things slowly, but it just doesn't seem like it's enough, right? Because we're all still being murdered. We're all still, our minds are all still being twisted and experimented on, and we're being tortured. So I have this thing where I'm like, I just need to get over myself. You know, I just need to get over myself and realize people are going to still be putting information out. And like Ella said, I just need to take care of myself. I'll definitely let y'all know. I'll let y'all know what I'm going to do. I love the panels. So I really want to do some more of those and kind of think about it. But my 39th birthday is coming up, and I'm just thinking I need to really stop for a moment in time, right? Like stop for a month or 2 months and really think about where I'm going, what I want to do, what this targeting is doing to me, what kind of a difference I want to make, what kind of a difference do I think I can realistically make, right? You get so wrapped up in this stuff that you're kind of just grinding it. You're kind of just grinding and grinding and grinding, and you know, and a lot of target individuals are. I think Wayne was saying like he's not, you know, he's kind of found himself and he feels a lot better. And like I'm, you know, awesome. Like I mean that is like I'm really I'm having trouble with words, but like I'm really proud of him. Not proud of him, but like I'm glad that happened. But me, I'm completely lost sometimes, guys. I have my heart and my soul, my faith in God will never waver, but my mind is completely lost. I was watching this. I was watching this channel. And hey, Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan says, watch the last video from Next Level. It's about a doctor and scientist. I think you're talking about the video he put out about Dr. Ronnie Kilda. And yes, everybody subscribe to Next Level's channel. But what was I saying? Oh, I was watching this channel. I really recommend it, guys. It's called Black Pilled. Maybe a lot of you guys already watch it. I'll probably be like, I don't think he cares. Like he doesn't really care if people share his videos and stuff. So I might go through some of his videos, you know, because it really gives a whole bird's eye view of what's happening to society and who's doing it. He's a very, very smart guy. I even think that he could be targeted, but he doesn't talk about that. Just a brilliant guy. He talks about a lot of propaganda in movies, propaganda in TV shows and things like that. But it's called Black Pilled, right? You know, and I don't, what's happening to me mentally is I am becoming black pilled. Now, what that means for you guys who don't understand what black pilled is, it means that you see how bad things are getting and you don't really see that they can turn around. You see that they're just going to keep getting worse and it's too big and the system has just really, there's too many people in society that are just going to go along with it and not try and fight for a better future, and it's too corrupt. And so you're kind of just like, well, okay, I'm going to try and fix my life and help as many people as I can, but I don't think this can be turned around, right? I think a lot of us feel that way. I don't like feeling that way. I don't like it when mentally I'm like, this can't get better. When I see mothers and their children being targeted with neuroweapons, I want my heart and my mind to be in balance, where my heart believes that we can change everything, that human beings can build awareness and can turn this around no matter how rich and how corrupt the elite are. I know that God can do things beyond my understanding and keep humanity evolving and can turn things around. I know it can happen. My heart knows that, right? But I kind of want to get my heart and my mind in conjunction. I was watching Black Pill and I keep getting more and more depressed because he's right on the money. Like some of his videos are just so, it's like he has a gift to see what's happening in society, a gift to see the big picture. and kind of like who's doing it and what's happening, and kind of how our society is being destroyed. He had a video about Yuri Bezmenov. I'm not saying that right. Can somebody correct me in chat? Yuri Bezmenov. He was a former KGB agent, and he came to America, and he talked a lot about how Russia destroyed the morals of its people to go ahead and destroy the society. How like they would turn the normality of society to crisis, and then keep running that Hegelian dialectic by getting people away from God, definitely pulling people away from a higher power, making people tolerant to very immoral things, eroding society, so that they don't have to fire a bullet, right? So that they don't have to it's not an external force coming in and murdering the country. It's the country doing it to itself. It's propaganda. It's the people choosing to destroy their own countries, right? And so I think it's Yuri Bezmenov. Let me see if somebody corrected me in chat. Okay, so Chaka Khan says, want to see gang stalking in action in Colorado? Watch the Cop Watchers channel, Watching the Watchmen. He happened upon a protest, so he went to video. Apparently, they had a death threat called in. And hey, Rev 311 Micron. Rev 311 Micron says, realizing all that is what gets you, realizing all that is, realizing all that, okay, realizing all that is what gets you put on the list. Yeah. Seeing what's happening in society, seeing what's happening in society, being able to tell people the truth. It's what the country wants to do away with. And hey, Tanya says, hi everyone, Kyle, great to see you. Yeah, that Yuri Bezmenov said that too. He said when the country or agencies that want to destroy a country, they try and destroy all that is valuable in that country. So targeted individuals, you are very valuable. You have insight. You are empathetic. You would tell your community what's dangerous and what's not dangerous. Country wants to sidewind us, right? They want to sidewind people who are always going to tell the truth, who aren't compliant. They're never really going to give in. And that's what most targeted, I'd say like 95% of targeted individuals are like people who are never going to really just go to the evil side. They're not going to give in and say, oh, the system's too big, and I'm going to go ahead and do whatever the system wants us to. So he says that it's like the country really strives to destroy anything that's valuable, and it tries to lift up people, criminals, sociopaths, those type of people. It tries to lift them up and give them power so they can go ahead and keep feasting on the country. I think it's Yuri Bezmenov. Tanya says, Kyle, you are, I think you said you meant tired. I don't know. I'm okay. Guess I'm okay. I don't know. It's just like, how okay can you be with this targeting? And I have very, 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 very powerful like mind control going on. I'm fighting it after so many years. I mean, the reality, right? A lot of us are really tired, but the reality is we're doing awesome. We're warriors. I mean, going through this for like decades. Like the overt targeting started in 2011, but I think it went on before that. Boy, I'm a really strong person. You guys that keep going and keep talking about this, keep surviving, you're really strong. And I think that that's the problem. The problem today with the world is that people see things on a surface level, and so they're like, oh, these people are tired, or they're whatever, they're crazy or whatever. It's not the reality of the situation. These evil people at the top of the pyramid want to get this reality by consensus. Well, this really isn't the reality of the situation, but if we can get enough people in the community or a city or the world believing a certain thing, well, that just creates reality, right? I don't believe in that. I believe that that's halfway right. I believe that like what we perceive kind of makes the situation, but I believe that there is an innate truth in a human being and what they are. And if people just like lie about them and hate them, it doesn't make them bad. It can make people think that they're bad, but it does not change the reality, and I hold to that. And I think that that's a tenet of the life affirming, fighting for life forces in the universe, is there's an innate truth to life. that can't be corrupted or raped or mutilated into something different. Of course, it can affect it, but that truth's still going to be there of what really happened, of what that person really was, of what you guys really are. Sure, a lot of you guys, your community, it just tells lies about you, maybe says you're a drug addict or a criminal. That doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it the reality. The reality is they're lying about you and you're a good person, so. Oh, you're still here, Wayne? Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, Wayne said, I was feeling that panel. What a nice lady Laura is. She is a dear heart. She has the biggest heart of anybody I've ever met. And she has fought so hard through this, and she just keeps fighting. It was a great panel. I think that's why my attackers were freezing it up, because it was we were all talking, Ella Advocate, me and you, Wayne, and Laura, and it was really, I was really feeling it. And then they started to freeze it up. So I'm going to make sure that I take some precautions and try and keep them off my Zoom. I don't even know how they're doing it. And they were doing that. Like, I tried to do a video yesterday, but my Zoom wouldn't open up. So apparently they found a way to somehow block my Zoom, or some kind of virus. And hey, Autumn. Autumn says, hello, Kyle and everyone. I hope you're doing great, Autumn. I hope you and your family are doing great. And she's putting up so many great videos. Please just go to her channel and check out everything, but definitely check out this video. And I guess we should check out Kristen Conklin's channel too. And then I'm definitely going through this. And then this weekend, I'm going to do a live stream, going through like specific things that he said, and then putting in my knowledge, and you guys can talk and chat about it, about what we really know to be going on. I really think it's purposeful disinformation. I think that it's like what we all know is that sometimes people come out and they put out a bunch of real information, like he's putting out a bunch of real information about neuroscience and neuroweapons, but then he's throwing this huge boulder in it of a lie that can keep people misdirected and not understanding how bad it is in society, how many people are being hurt by these weapons, because he fears for his life. He's within the system. He works for the system. But like I said, that's a good sign, right? That he has to come out and talk about this stuff. It's getting to that point where there's no holding it back. There's only stalling. They can only stall. So what can we do when they're stalling? We can quicken things. We can quicken things by telling people the truth. And then they're like, oh, well, more information is coming out, so we have to do this. And then it's a little bit hyper game, but we push it along, right? We push their stalling, their stall tactics. We push it forward, so then they're like, oh, we have to release this information too. We're gonna have to release, and then it kind of shortens the timeline for how much longer this the complete ignorance of the public can last, right? About this, I think that's pretty much done. That the public would not listen to you about this. Well, I don't know. Some people won't listen to us about it, but it's really changing a lot. It's really changing a lot. Let me go down to the bottom of the chat. Hey, Awaken World. Awaken World says, hi, I caught your live stream. Hi, Wayne. Hi, Kyle. Hey, Awaken World. Yeah, it was a great panel. All my panels, like with you guys, and guys who come on the panel, just thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming and making those things what they are. Sometimes I'm kind of not there, right? I'm like getting hit, but I still want to make a video. I remember like Wayne said something, I didn't hear him, and it took me like 30 seconds to be like, wait, what'd you say, Wayne? So if I ever seem rude or anything, I know you guys get it. You guys get it, but I still want to say, like, if I ever seem like I'm kind of distant or something like that, this stuff is really taking a toll on me, but I still want to do live streams. I actually want to do more. I just want to do more, and when you hear, this is the thing with me, which makes it a little bit hard to do a YouTube channel. This is really just a way to get out information and get us, have a place for target individuals to come and not feel alone, and putting out concrete information. They say, like, and I've studied a little I've studied like 2% how to make a good YouTube channel because I really don't care. But they say if you want to make a good YouTube channel, just keep doing the same thing. You pick one thing to do and you make every video like that so that people will want to go and binge watch your videos. And it's simple, right? And I can't do that. Like I want to talk about spirituality. I want to do panels. I want to do concrete information. You know, I want to do a bunch of different stuff, and that's kind of just how it's going to be. But I think that I want to kind of, I'm gonna look in more on how some of these big YouTube channels that aren't talking about target individuals, like exactly what kind of cameras they're using, maybe what kind of editing they're doing. If I'm going to do a video, not a live stream, so that people will be more familiar with that setup, right? I don't know. You know, I just kind of, sometimes I just want to get on here and read information because I'm so tired. It's hard for me to think. I was like trying to think of I was really thinking about Linda a lot. And I was like, man, I got to come at this. I got to just change everything. I've got to change everything and just come at this in a whole different way. I got to change the name of my YouTube channel because Vulcan Wolverine is like, it doesn't have the subject matter in the title. And I really want that in there. And I was just thinking like, I could barely think of like new names and stuff like that. I was kind of like thinking about targeted Avengers. Because we're kind of, you know, we're a bunch of people who are different, but we all need to come together. And I really like that part. This really touched my heart, like especially with Linda's death, because I feel like me and her talked about getting out of this, like about we were gonna be together, not be together like romantically or anything. She's more like a mom, but we were gonna be together when this was over, and we were gonna laugh about this stuff. And you know, I thought about that part in the Avengers where Tony Stark's talking to Loki, and he says, you know, you got this army, you're trying to destroy New York or whatever, you're trying to take over the world, but if you don't do it, it's all on you because we're gonna avenge it. If we lose, we're gonna avenge the world. If we can't save the world, we're gonna I guess I don't want to cuss, but we're gonna sure avenge it. And so I thought that's a good name, but then I was like, I looked up the definition of avenge, and it's like to inflict harm and stuff like that. And I was like, that's definitely not the angle we want to come from. I don't know. I'll probably just keep the channel the same name for now, but I'm like trying to go through. I'm like, I gotta change everything and do things different, and like we got to come at this with a whole new breath of you know, a whole new wind, right? The millionth wind. And but it's really been getting to me. It's like the Linda thing, Linda dying screwed me up really bad, on top of how bad I was screwed up because of the targeting. You know, and I'm hoping that I'm just hoping that can maybe give me some inspiration. Like I've actually been trying to talk to her, right? Like I've actually been trying to like, and I don't even know, like I don't know about all that, about like spirits after they leave this world, but I've been really trying to like connect with her. And I just think that, you know, she'd just say, do what makes you the happiest and just help people, you know? And so I don't know, like it's been really screwing me up really bad. Oh, hey, Tansy says, hi, Kyle, your birthday is the same day as my mom. My mom and two brothers are Pisces too. And in my family, they are it. I'm a Leo. Oh, you're a Leo? Really? That's awesome. Yeah, I was reading that. And I don't know, like, I don't know how much I believe in astrology. I think I do, because I haven't really studied it or anything, but like I look at the what astrology says about a Pisces. And especially when I get really sick or really cornered, you know, I'm like a poster boy for a Pisces. Like I'm the Pisces poster boy. When I'm not really sick, I can kind of be more willful and stuff like that. I think there's a lot to astrology, you know, and in what it said, you know, for any of you guys who maybe want to look into it, I don't know, like I'm a Christian too. Like I carry on the traditional Christian values in my family. I do believe in God. I do have faith that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. So I don't know how Christians are going to take the whole astrology thing, but what it said is, it said for your sign to progress, to get out of things, to move forward in things that may be a weakness for your sign, right? Like I'm a Pisces, so I get into my own world when things become too big. You know, I get into my own world to keep moving forward. But it said, you know, it said like to progress, you go to your opposite sun sign. So Virgo is my opposite sun sign, and they're very, very logical, right? Virgos are super logical. And before I even read stuff about that, I read some stuff about astrology just in desperation the other day. Before I even read that, I realized that I had been doing that. That's what I do to not go insane. And that's the Vulcan Wolverine, right? Spock is very logical, and that's what I'm very jealous of people who can be very logical, and so that's what I do. You're supposed to go to your opposite sun sign if like things within your sign are kind of messing up your life, and that's what I was doing before I even knew that. Like I go towards logic because my head goes everywhere. Like I'm a water sign, right? I'm a mutable sign. So it's like I'm very inconsistent. I change my mind all the time. I, second guess myself. I go through a lot of changes and stuff like that already, even without the targeting. So I was realizing that I was doing those things to stay strong and to keep from going insane. And this thing that I read about astrology was saying that's what you need to do. Like if you find negative things that you're doing, you need to do some things that your opposite sun sign would do. So I'm looking at those things, they fit. I'm just going to say that. Some people that talk about astrology, it fits. Some people, I think they're just guessing. But I think that there's a lot to it when we're born under what kind of gravity, under what kind of the universe's movements. And I think I will be looking into it a lot more because it's very like I'm a Pisces poster boy, But I don't know because I'm a Christian, so I get kind of worried that people will think that's like satanic or something like that. But it's kind of, what I say, right, guys? I say if it's practical, it's factual, right? If it fits and it helps and stuff like that, as long as you're not hurting people, as long as you're moving towards life affirming and fighting for life, then it's good, So it really is true. I can see that, Tansy, how you're a Leo. Yeah, I'm definitely a Pisces. I am definitely, and some things about Pisces I don't like. Like I'm tough about some things. Like I'm really tough about some things. I don't quit and I can do things to keep going, but I'm a little bit too sensitive. Like I'm a little bit I overthink stuff and I'm a little bit too sensitive. And I realize that that's when I use logic and, kind of keep progressing in my life. I balance out, right? I try and balance out the negative stuff about the stars and the moon that I was born under. I really think there's a lot to it. I think there's a lot to it. I want to study the history of it. And I guess some things we can't really know the full history. It's like there's a mystery there of where it really originated, who really came up with it. But I want to go back as far and see the history that is written about. And I think it comes from a place. It comes from a place of some force trying to help humanity to understand itself. And so I really do like it. And I think you guys should maybe look into that. Look into what your sign is. See if there's some negative things about yourself. Then look at your opposite sun sign and see things that they do, and you can do those things to pull yourself out of the negative things about your sign. I think it's worked for me even before I read that, right? Even before I read that stuff about astrology, I was already doing it to survive. I have to be very logical sometimes because my emotions will run away with me. And I see like I can instantly put myself in somebody else's shoes, right? So that really washes me away sometimes, right? Pisces are very mutable. They're flowing, and like if I get too much, I get too much into other people's heads. And I'm not saying like I manipulate their heads. I feel what I see how they could feel the way that they do. And then it really has an effect on me. And that's hard when you're targeted, right? And I'm sure a lot of you targeted individuals, probably all of you, really understand that. Being empathetic, feeling somebody else's pain, wow, it makes this really, really hard. It makes everything, all the corrupt things and people really hurting, it makes it super, super difficult. And I think that, like, I look at this sometimes and I'm like, well, the only people who can live happy lives now, because of all the death and the genocide, the large scale torture, our country's being destroyed, the only people who can really enjoy themselves anymore are psychopaths. I mean, that's not true, but that's kind of how I think sometimes. I'm like, I can only see like narcissists and psychopaths being able to enjoy themselves because they don't care about anybody. They're just going to get what they think is theirs, and they don't care about everybody else's pain. And I can't live like that. Like, it's not my nature. Like, I can't even choose to live like that. Like, oh, everybody's in a lot of pain, I'm just going to be happy and enjoy myself. It's impossible. I can't do it. And I'm sure like tons of you guys are the same way. Yeah. Ella Advocate says, Kyle, yes, they want you to have tolerance to abuse. They want this to be normalized. They want this to be normalized. They definitely do. We have to make sure that doesn't happen. New Type says the interview with that Russian defector was riveting and explains a lot of what is happening now with our country. Yeah, it's like spot on. It's like spot on about like the corruption and how they're trying to get people away from God. They're trying to really poke fun at people who have faith in God and in Jesus Christ. Because when people believe in a higher power, they check their own morals, right? They say, oh, I'm going to go to hell if I do that, or I'm fighting for life and it's moral and it's what God wants to make me help people. When people think that nothing means anything, and this isn't in all cases, right? There are some atheists who just want to do good and they see the value in life affirming things, right? I would say that those people probably aren't atheists. They see themselves as atheists, but they believe in something. So they're not necessarily atheists, right? But some people who are like very nihilistic, they can murder people and do bad things, and it doesn't matter because nothing matters, right? And that's a very dangerous thing, and that's where the top-down system wants to make people say, well, we're all just so small and nothing matters, and I'm just going to enjoy the pleasurable things in life, and really the big picture doesn't matter. And that creates like this immoral communities and an immoral system where then like my attackers, they're microwaving people, and they don't care about my pain. They're just kind of listening to the chain of command. It's nihilism. It may be an organized form of nihilism, but it's not believing in anything. It's believing that people's lives don't matter. Maybe they believe in some kind of cult master plan thing, but it's definitely a misdirection. It's definitely believing in the wrong thing. Oh, I'm glad you're okay, Autumn. So tomorrow is a holiday where you are? Man, I'm holding up. I'm still. Oh, wait, Tangy Day. Wait, Tangy Day. I'm gonna have to look that up. Tansy, you're 39 this year too? Awesome. Yeah, I'm so old. I feel like I've missed a lot of my life, but I feel like things can change where you can start enjoying your life, get a new perspective, and you make up for that lost time, right? And that's one thing, guys. Like, I really, really encourage you guys, and some of you guys and girls, I don't have to encourage, helping other people. I was thinking last night, I was just like, man, this is so bad. How do I survive this? I survive it by believing in God with my faith in Jesus Christ, but I also survive it with saying, I've done good things while I've been being tortured and stuff. You hold on to those things. You hold on to the good stuff. So if you're a target individual that's kind of isolating and you're like, I'm just getting through this, try and do things to help others, things that you see that are very valuable. So when those times come where you're like, I can't do this, this is so horrible, you can say, oh, all these things were worth it. You know, all these things were really good. And I could die at peace knowing I did the right thing. It's very, very valuable. It's a very, very valuable thing. And I don't have to tell you, some of you guys, that. Yeah, Wayne Moore says it's taxing on the mind. I try not to take too much in at once. Yeah, kind of handle these things one bite at a time. Like, what do I need to do right now to make this better? And that's the thing, Wayne. Like my brother, you know, he doesn't believe me about this. But he gave me some good advice. You know, he was like, you can't look at what's going on in the world, like all the evil in the world. You can't live like that. He said, you got to try and carve out your own path in life. You got to try and help people around you, but you can't sit there and look at all the bad things that are going on in the world and expect to not go insane. You know, so I think that's really important for us, even though we're facing something that's like global. We've got to see fixing it and doing good things about it as a, you know, who can I help around me, and trying to let that just ripple out, right? And if enough of us do it, it will save the world. You know, it will save the world with God's help, with the life affirming, with the good, the light side of the force. Yeah. Yeah, Tanya Bauer says, yes, Wayne, everybody has a burnout. You have to look after yourself first. Yeah. If you don't take care of yourself, how can you help other people? You know, but my whole thing has been like, I'm like, well, I'm being targeted. My brain's being tortured. You know, if I take a break, will things get better? You know, I'm just going to still be being tortured. I'm still going to be isolated. So I'm like, sometimes I'm like, does that even, you know, does stopping for a while even make a difference? But I might need to try it. And it's definitely not going to be right after this video. I'm going to make some more videos, probably up until my birthday. And then when my birthday rolls around, I'm going to kind of see. But I'll let you guys know. And it's not going to be quitting or anything like that. New Type says, hi, everyone. Great work with all the videos and activism. Yeah, things are definitely rolling. Things are definitely rolling on. And I think that's our weapon. Our weapon is the activism, is people becoming aware of evil stuff, of saying no. I think there's a huge tide of very ignorant people in society who really don't care, and they're going to do whatever the society will let them do. But there's enough people with a good moral stance. I think we just don't know how to fight, right? I think we don't know how, you know, in Army, you know, like I was saying, I think another live stream, a militia with guns, right? Let's think about this. Let's think about like fighting back in any kind of violent way. You're not going to have enough people built up to fight in a violent way. You're going to be facing so much advanced technology that it's not even going to be close to anything that you could ever think about calling a fair fight. So I think that well, I'll say this. I mean, I think the way is like getting people to say no, getting them to know about the evil stuff. I think that we are going to have to completely change the way we fight. It's going to have to be something new. You know, it's not going to be anything that we know of, compliance, you know, weapons and stuff. We're going to have to adapt and evolve to like this whole new way of doing good. And I don't even know what I mean by that, right? I don't even know what I mean by that, because it's new. Whatever we're going to have to do to save the human race, a lot of people are going to have to do it. It's going to be completely new. And we can only do that with God. We can only do that with a higher power. We can only do that. And it can change us to be able to reach those completely new things, right? Because I just don't think that we're in time in our society where people can take up arms like our forefathers, take up, you know, little rifles, and go do anything very significant. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys in chat want to talk about that. Maybe there is a way that militias could somehow attack a certain spot and stop it all, but not that I know of. Everything's so spread out, right? There's these built-in mechanisms in the system to keep it so you can't just go to one place where all this corruption is coming from, right? They've spread it out enough so it's like that doesn't really work. I don't know. I think this is our weapon right now. this and this are weapon. And sometimes, and I'm talking about like our voice and our heart, something past our mind. The mind can be tricked. The mind sometimes becomes a weapon against ourselves, especially with this targeting. So with me, I have to sometimes let go of my mind and go back here. I think that a lot of people who are super, super intelligent, they're super intelligent, but they lean heavily just on their mind. It can start to be a weapon against themselves. With the neuro weapons, the neuro weapons attacks, the mind control, your attackers will kind of wrap it in and rope it in back at itself. How do we do that? Right? How do we do that? Like, what's the best way of going about that? We're going to have to do it together. We're going to have to figure it out together. All right, I'm getting text messages. Hey, thank you, Native. Native says beautiful words from your heart. Yeah, and that's the thing, Native. Yeah, and let me finish what she was saying. Beautiful words from your heart. That's the only way that I function, guys. Y'all have seen me come on these videos where I'm just using this, and I'm irritated, and I am not right. So if I totally go to this, and the only way that I can do anything worthwhile in this world is by going here. I've seen a battle. I mean, got people who've watched a lot of my videos. That's why my first videos really worked, because I was talking from the heart. But I've gotten so wrapped up, right, with how complicated this stuff is. So complicated. I mean, they're using scalar waves, which people don't even know about. All these different defenses work, but they're taking care of certain layers while other layers get through. Target individuals are very very untrusting of each other. So we've got all that to deal with. Remote neural manipulation, gives people all these thoughts and feelings, and then it gets so crazy that if you just come from your mind, I don't think you can survive. Like I don't think it's possible. And I've done it a lot. Like I've totally haven't been able to use my heart, and I'm just like, I get overwhelmed, and then it's like, what you're doing, you're kind of, I don't know, you're kind of, whatever you're doing isn't really working. It's almost going against what you're trying to do. For me, for my personality. Hey, Freedom says unpasteurized MSM is helping me. Look out for Charlie recommended. Okay, so unpasteurized MSM. And I've been doing, I need to look into that. What was that? What was somebody talking about too? Somebody was saying krill oil is very good for the brain for cognitive function. We might want to look into that. Like I've been taking lecithin, Drenamine, and then this Dr. Guberman's like neuro support, and it has like B vitamins and anything in it. I'm not sure what MSM is. Unpasteurized MSM. We definitely have to cleanse, Okay, so Autumn's seconding that MSM. So Freedom says you can purchase online at Missimo, Australia. Drunken Ninja says ping, microwave is done. Ella Advocate says I'm a Cuspian, Libra, Scorpio, air, water. Yeah, I'm like February 21st, so I'm like on the cusp of Aquarius, I think. So it's kind of brutal sometimes, because Aquarius is like a really big dreamer, and Pisces is kind of like very artistic. And this world really makes a person who's the dreamer very depressed, right? I escape with, I escape with movies and art and things like that. But with logic, right, with my opposite sun sign, Virgo, I look at those things. I don't let them delude me or bring me in a bad direction. I use logic, and I use those things about myself to logically help reality, to logically make reality better, right? So that's one thing that I think every every person who is interested in astrology and thinks that like you match up with your sun sign, if you see things that you don't like about yourself or that make your life hard, you go to your opposite sun sign and you really work on doing those things. And I did that. I'm telling you guys, I did it subconsciously before I even knew about that. But then it was like it really matched when it was talking about that. Tansy says Pisces are lovely people, but they can get depressed easily because they're gentle angels. Yeah, it's like I said, I'm tough about some things, but like when my attackers do stuff to me, I don't take it to heart or anything like that. But yeah, I'm sensitive. I'm sensitive in certain ways, like sensitive in certain ways, and that's the thing. Like I haven't really done that much. I think that you can really learn not to let those weaknesses get to you. But sometimes I try and escape. I escape when things get too overwhelming or, yeah, I'm pretty tough. I'm a tough Pisces though. I don't know. I think this targeting has made me tough. I think it's like, okay, you either become tough or you die, and so like I've kind of had to do that. But yeah, I'm pretty sensitive. Yeah. Ella Abgid says, Kyle, a lot of mysticism has now been discovered by science and it's no longer magic. Yeah, and I do think Drunken Ninja says I was born under the Krypton sign. Yeah. Hey, Ocean Size says, I'm here now. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I think astrology, I think we'd be surprised where we got that from. And I think there is a science to it. And probably and I don't want to get too far into that, but probably other life in the universe has progressed more with learning about themselves and what affects them and exactly how they're like in more healthy ways than human beings are trying to do it, right? Human beings are fumbling around with frequency and energy and torturing and mutilating children and stuff like that. There's other societies, life. I think that there's other life in the universe. It's further out on the edge of the universe than us. It's had more time to evolve, and probably some of those things like astrology are a hard science, for those beings. I was born under the Krypton sun. Really, Tansy, you say I'm a Leo that hates the spotlight. LOL, it makes me really uncomfortable. Really, because Leo's usually like that kind of stuff. Yeah, see, there's things that it's like it doesn't exactly fit about your sign. It's things that it's like as a Pisces, like I'm pretty tough. Like I don't really let a lot of things get to me, but in some ways I do. So it's not all exact, but it does fit in a specific way, not too general. But your personality, you can see things and like, oh wow, yeah, I am like that. I mean, it's not just like, oh, I'm just kind of trying to think that. It really does make a lot of sense. Drunken Ninja says, what's that ping? Oh, the ping, that's my text messages. That's my phone. Like text me. I'll text him back later. Tansy says, that's your chicken being cooked, Ninja. Revelation 311. Micron says, you are spot on, Kyle. Thank you, Revelation 311. We got to figure all this stuff out ourselves. Okay, so Mischievous M says, Kyle, I wanted to thank you for that blue shielding cap or cover you recommended. I ordered one this week. It really works. It really works. I do want to say, no, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah, the shielding cap, less EMF headgear, getlambs.com. I'm going to get a beanie from there. And then they have underwear and a t-shirt. Another target individual, Corey, told me that one of his target individual friends tried the stuff from getlambs.com and said it's a huge difference. So it's at getlambs.com. It's like lambskin and other things that really blocks like 99% of Wi-Fi frequencies, like all the G's, right? And 1G through 4G at least, and I think some of 5G. But he said it's really, really effective, and they have this big beanie, right? It's a big beanie cap you can get. I'd really recommend that. I just don't have money right now to get it, but I'm going to get that and put it over that lead cap. I'm going to put it over that lead cap and then have the less EMF headgear underneath. But they do, our attackers do adapt and get through some stuff. I'll read something after I read this article. I really think that scalar waves are being used. And even if you're in a Faraday cage, a scalar wave can, if it has a, like say a transceiver or an emitter and a receiver, you put the receiver in the Faraday cage, a scalar wave, whatever emits scalar waves, and it's a 0-point energy, it can go straight through that Faraday cage. I don't know what can block scalar waves. However, some things, right? Some layers of this are being done by scalar waves, but a lot of layers are just electromagnetic fields. It's electromagnetic frequencies. You can block those, but scalar waves are a layer of this. And so I've blocked some things, like I blocked a lot of stuff, toned down the V2K, really blocked the external hits, like to a point where it was like maybe 5%. I was getting 5% external hits, but then there's still stuff being done to my mind. And I think that a lot of that is 0-point energy. And I don't know what can block it. I don't know what can block scalar waves. We're going to have to talk about those things, you know, because there's different layers of what they're hitting us with. My thing is that we need to block as many layers as we can, right? So you can feel as good as you can. Some things might be tougher, but we got to block as many layers of it as possible. But I do think, and not a lot of people know about scalar waves, but I think on these integrated weapon systems, they are using 0-point energy. Probably for, I'd say specifically for the remote neural manipulation. I'd say it's like you got an electromagnetic field around your head, and that's electromagnetic frequencies. But then I think that they're using scalar waves, just like that MIT article was saying, a bidirectional stream of ultrasound and infrasound. Well, I think that our attackers in these new weapon systems, it's like electromagnetic field around the head. Then that energy, that directed energy, that bidirectional stream of energy, I think that's scalar, you know. But how does scalar relate, you know, to electromagnetic frequencies? It's not an electromagnetic frequency. It's something different. It's called Tesla energy. I'll read something about that. I've got to research it more. But I think a lot of people know that. A lot of target individuals are talking about scalar energy, and they know a lot of this stuff is being done by scalar waves. And like, how do we block that? Well, we'll figure it out. I don't think it's impossible. I don't think I know a lot of stuff like offhand. But I'm sure that there's some things that can disrupt it, you know. Yeah, that shielding cap is so good. That lead shielding cap. Rev 311 Micron says, Kyle, you're the same age as my dad. Wow. Yeah, I should be a dad by now if I wasn't targeted. Oceanside says, be careful around those calls and TI sellouts. Yeah. Yeah, lately, I won't tell you all the specifics, but it's been kind of driving me nuts. It's like I became a really good friend with a targeted individual, and really, we were just hitting it off, like creative guy. And then this other targeted individual that I'm friends with, like, calls me one morning and like says he's a perp and says to cut myself off, it happens so much. The fighting, and we don't trust each other. And I know that they're real agents, right? I know that they're real COINTELPRO, agent provocateur type people. My whole thing is I have good moderators in my chat. If somebody does something that is dangerous or harmful for people or like insulting people, they can get them out of there. I think the best way to deal with that is to ignore. Is to deal with the real targeted individuals. We've got to build trust, use your logic, because sometimes you're going to get remote neural manipulation making you feel paranoid about people. Use your logic, use their fruits, right? What they're producing, what they're saying, how they act. Add everything up logically so that you don't like accuse somebody of being a perp who's not. But then we've got to build up enough real targeted individuals and people telling the truth so that they become negligible. So that those people become negligible. Now, I will say this. Brian too is correct when he says that if somebody is intentionally gaslighting you or an intentional agent provocateur, right? That's going to be more effective, because your attackers are going to probably be like working with them or know what they're doing so that they can set up the remote neural manipulation for those specific street theater tactics. He's right about that, guys. Like if something random, like my dad tells me something random and negative, they'll use that too, but they're not ready for it. They weren't really ready for him to say those negative things. I think they can actually get ready for those people, those agent provocateurs, to tell you specific trigger things. He's right about that. I just don't think he's right about how many there are in our community. There's a lot of real targeted individuals, guys. We got to keep our eyes on that, but do be aware, be friends with people and stuff like that. Just be careful. Just be careful, but we can't isolate ourselves. You can't go one way or the other, right? You can't completely isolate yourself, and then you can't completely just give your number out on your channel and just, have no safety vest on to protect yourself, right? You can't do one or the other. Find something in between, protecting yourself, taking a break when you need to. If you do have questions, if somebody's acting really weird and they're like hurting you and stuff, kind of just let them go. I saw a Truth Serum. He had a lot of great advice on Next live stream. I got to go see. I don't know if he makes videos like regularly, but he's a very wise person when it comes to how to deal with this. If somebody, you be nice to everybody. Don't suspect them right off the bat. But if they're, just have a safety net. Use some wisdom in it, and you'll be okay. We'll take some hits, right? We're taking hits all the time with being microwaved and our brains being screwed up. But I just don't, my thing is I don't think cutting yourself off from everybody is the answer. I don't think, saying everybody's a perp and just saying no real TI, I don't think one or the other is the answer. It lies somewhere in the middle, I really need to read this article, guys. Yeah. Tansy says, I feel like I missed a lot of my life too. It's going so fast. Yeah, it's going so fast. These last 9 years of being targeted, or I guess it was 2011. Yeah, 9 years. It's going so fast. I just feel like that can balance, and we can have really good moments, even while being targeted, when we change our perspective. We really enjoy things. It can make up for the time lost, how we perceive these next moments, right? And then if we stop being targeted, which I think like 2000, I'm looking at 2025 very closely. I want it to happen sooner, but it's like, think about if the targeting stopped, how great would your life be? How much would you appreciate things? It would just be a whole new world. So we've got to have hope and look forward to those things. Oh, Tane says it's crazy. Hey, Rev, I look at my son who's 18 now and still see my little baby. Yeah. Wayne Moore says, can someone type everything Kyle says my phone stuff? Okay, let me read this article, guys. I think I'm way behind in chat too. Okay, Mischievous M says, everyone wear gloves whenever you leave out. They lace doorknobs and items they suspect you of buying with nano. I personally witnessed a perp doing this twice. Yeah, Tanya Bauer says we need it to happen now. We definitely do need it to happen now. Drunken Ninja says 2023. Yeah. Okay, let me read this article, guys. Didn't want to make this live stream too long. Okay, Awaken World says, I mean, shielding items you posted off to help protect the body. Grounding is so important, guys. Passive shielding from less EMF on the head. That, like, I'll tell you guys what, this is a huge thing. I can't go through every defense now, but I'm gonna make a playlist so you guys can just see everything I use. This less EMF headgear, it's like 5 balaclavas and five, not skull caps, but brain coats. 5 brain coats, 5 balaclavas. If I don't wear this for a while, like if I just have this hat on and I go out, or I'm just hanging out in my house and I don't have this on, like say right now I'm doing this video without it, I will start feeling heat around my head, but also my anxiety goes up. Like I'll start getting shaky and stuff like that because my attackers are affecting my autonomic nervous system. These layers affect what they're doing. Some things like the visual injections and inner voice stuff and V2K, it kind of tones down on, but like the full body stuff, it just helps. This definitely helps. When I have it on, things are a lot more comfortable. And then when I don't, it takes a little while. And then my attackers really, really hurt me. They really start hurting me. So the grounding on my left leg, I know not all of you are getting vagus nerve stimulation, but I get a lot of vagus nerve stimulation. So if the grounding falls off when I go to sleep, I'll start feeling the fibromyalgia feeling so much worse, and then pain on this side. And then the noise canceling hearing aids. There's a lot of things. You just start building it up. There's a lot of things. I'll go into that on the next video. I'll do some playlists. Baklava. Yeah, Drunken News says 5 baklava. That's a nice Arab sweet. Wayne Moore says, Kyle, can you sign in Vulcan? What God, I can't even remember the saying. Live long and prosper. I love it. Live long and prosper. Okay, let me read this article, guys. I love y'all. I love y'all's comments. I love this. I did a video. Did y'all notice? I did a video and it wasn't a live stream the other day. I'm probably gonna do that from time to time and make it quick though. I hate it. Like after doing live streams where it's like, hey, I'm hanging out with other target individuals, I'm hanging out with my friends and going through information. It just makes doing a video like, because I used to make videos, not live streams, and I would imagine that I was talking to you guys, right? I would imagine that I was talking to target individuals. It was easy to imagine that in my head. Like, oh, I'm talking to people. So it's like I'm talking to people and I know they're going to see this. When you do a live stream, it's hard to go back and imagine that you're talking to people, to target individuals, because you're in a live stream, you really are. So it's hard for me to go back and that not to be completely boring. And I feel like isolated and I feel like it's too quiet, you know. Balaklava, balaklava. Miss GB Sim says, I always have a process that I do to figure out rather a person is a perp or not. Wayne Moore says, my perps need balaklavas beyond ugly. Yeah, figuring out if people are perps or not, guys. I just use logic. Use your intuition. Use your intuition. Use your insight. Use your you know what your instinct is telling you. But even apart from that, because some of this remote neural manipulation gets, like after a long time, after years, they're trying to interlace remote neural manipulation with things that could feel like your own thoughts. So just try and use logic to balance everything out. There's surveillance role players, there's agent provocateurs. What Brian says, I think is true, informants that are turned agent provocateurs because this system is not transparent. It's like crime. It's like crime. So when they get somebody who's going to be an informant, then they start making that person do a bunch of street theater and surveillance role playing and harassment and gaslighting and stuff like that. So just really use your instinct, really pray about it. I don't know what to say about that. You have to just use your own judgment. I do think a danger though is that a lot of people really base things off of like their gut feeling. And sometimes the remote neural manipulation, they can give you a feeling like, ooh, this person's not to be trusted or something like that. And it might be remote neural manipulation. But I don't know how to, you know, target individuals have to make their own decisions. Like that's one of the worst things. Like, and I feel like that happens so much to me. I don't know. I don't know who questions me and who doesn't. I have to let that go. I have to do what's right. I have to, you know, just feel as good as I can I'm sure sometimes if I feel good or I look good or something, people are like, oh, he doesn't look sick enough or whatever. You know, you just got to do the best you can for yourself, not worry about that. And then when you're talking about like knowing if somebody else is a perp, you've got to try and give people a chance, but don't put yourself in danger, right? Don't put yourself in a situation where you're just giving them power over you and stuff like that. So you just got to balance it out. It's really bad for me. Like I'll become friends with somebody. I'll be friends with two targeted individuals. This happens a lot. This happens a lot. And I get worried that they're going to think that one of them's going to think that I did something. I was about to say the F word, that I did something, but this happens a lot where I'll be friends with a target individual and another target individual. And then one of them will be like, or both of them will be like, oh, that person's a perp. And then it's like, oh, I'm in the middle of that thing. What do I say? I don't want to talk about what this person's saying to me to this person. I get in that makes me, it drives me up a wall. And then I'm like, oh my God, is this person going to think I was talking bad about them to this person? And then I'm the perp or something like that. And I'm just like, you know, screw it. You know, I'm a good person. I'm doing what's right. I'm targeted. And you've got to just kind of unravel your mind, move forward, you know, be the best that you can to other people. If they're gonna, you know, I don't know, that's the maybe the worst thing about this, about us moving forward. It's not the worst thing about the torture and stuff and the mind control, but it's the thing that's holding us back. We cannot be unified, and it's on purpose. And we're unified to a certain point. We could do better. You know, if people weren't so worried about real COINTELPRO, real informants turned agent provocateurs, we could get together in groups. This would be done. This would be done. That's a fact. This would be done. But that's on purpose, right? Weapons of mass disruption, programs and COINTELPRO of mass disruption. So it's on purpose. It's part of this. It's part of this fight. So when we move forward, we need to figure out better ways. And if you do have a good way of knowing if somebody's a perp, please make a video about it. Please, you know, please put it in chat. That's another thing, right? Some TIs, it's like, you know, they may have good methods of doing things, but they don't want to give it away because then they think that maybe the perps will get past that or no. It just gets to be a mess, right? So we can just do the best that we can. We can do the best that we can. Use your instinct. Really pray about it. Really pray about it. I would be careful though, because like Brock said, and Brock's very smart, he's very right about this, that it's not just TI or perp, it's human beings being targeted. So if a targeted individual does something bad to you, and it may not be on purpose, they may be really screwed up, you know, they may be going through stuff and they may make a mistake or they're agitated or they may think you're a perp and they do something bad to you without telling you you're a perp or something like that. So it gets more complicated than just like TI or perp. There's like a whole range of different targeted individuals and different personalities and how this affects us. And then there are perpetrators, right? This is what, from doing videos and everything, I see that it's not that big of a percentage. Like they're not able to keep up with the large number of target individuals. And like my channel's done pretty well, right? Like I don't have a lot of fights because I've gotten really good moderators that I trust. And it's like they've kind of gone away from my channel. Like Chief Handler, he doesn't really bother my channel anymore because I have something set up where I'm gonna ignore him. I've got moderators to handle him. And if you just don't feed them, if they have nothing to feed off of, they kind of die on the vine, right? So don't give them anything. If you're calling everybody perps and stuff, the real perps are going to come to you. They're going to be like, this person thinks everybody, and you know, they're not going to be able to tell, and they're going to come and try and mess with you. So if you're constantly fighting them and accusing people, then you're probably going to have more real perpetrators who start heading your way because they see that you're reacting to it. So it's a counterintuitive way to fight, is that you're gonna have to ignore some of the smaller stuff. We're all gonna have to ignore some of the smaller stuff and go for the head of the Hydra. And that's, I mean, like doing this, like speaking out as a targeted individual, you have a trial by fire. you really find out, like, how am I surviving here? How am I getting out good information? What am I doing that's successful? Because a lot of targeted individuals, they tell me, you got a lot of perpetrators in your chat and you need to deal with it. I am dealing with it. I'm dealing with it by having moderators that if anybody starts insulting anybody, those moderators are going to get those people out of chat, and I'm going to ignore it so that I think the chief handler is actually a real perpetrator. He's not going to come to my videos. And like, if he does, boom, he's out. My moderator's got it taken care of, and I'm handling concrete information, right? So you see how dealing with that, it's almost counterintuitive, because as a human being, you're like, this person's a sacco. I want to go after them. I want to tell them how bad they are. I want to, you want to get worked up. But some of this stuff, it's like, we got to pick our battles. We got to pick our battles, and just be careful about who you're very close to and stuff like that, So, like, we're going to find better ways. We're going to find better ways. And that's something that I do see. I do see that kind of fixing itself a little bit. If we just keep moving forward, you deal with real targeted individuals, we put out real good information, we have this groundswell where they become inconsequential. They die on the vine, they become negligible, like those people like that. And I think that we do need to talk one-on-one, targeted individual to targeted individual. I think that helps, but I think that if you also just put out straight information, then it balances that out. That, like, if you do talk to a target individual and they seem like they're not on the level, you've got putting out information, you've got all these real target individuals, and it kind of balances that out emotionally, so it doesn't hurt you as much. But I don't know, like, I've just met, like, me, I've been paranoid of people who are real targeted individuals, and they're being hurt so bad that they maybe do something mean to me or something like that. And I'm like, oh, well, that has to be gaslighting or something like that. But then I just try and use my logic, and I say, what have they, if they done any videos, what do they talk about? Oh, wait, no, they couldn't be a perp, and you just got to use logic. I'd say use your instinct, but balance it with logic. Balance it with straight up logic about what they're doing. And even I had one targeted individual who, like, he was saying, like, don't get insulted. Like, if I ask you questions, and ask if you're a perp. Sometimes maybe just say, hey man, I'm kind of paranoid. Like, you're doing weird stuff. Why are you doing that weird stuff? And if they have a really weird answer and they keep doing it, then you'll know something's up. We're going to come up with way better ways to deal with that. I just think they get negligible as long as we're doing the right thing and we're talking to real targeted individuals, and we're not completely isolating and saying, oh, well, everybody, this whole community is just filled with perps, so I'm just going to abandon it. I think if we just keep moving forward, it becomes negligible. We have to make these dangers that are trying to sidewind us, because that's something that I see as sidewinding. I don't see it as my biggest threat. My biggest threat is my microwave attackers trying to run my mind in circles. I've had more paranoia from them implanting paranoia, and they have protocols. These people have protocols that if you're working with some target individual that's really good and they're doing something good and it's going to move you forward, they will give you a paranoid feeling. They will give you lines of thought where you're like, this person has to be a perpetrator. So, and I've experienced that, and I know it's true because I use my defenses, and they start doing some of those things that are supposed to make me paranoid, and it kind of like, it doesn't hold. It doesn't hold right, like my own thoughts. So that's why the defenses are so important, because it'll show you what's kind of artificial, because as artificial things start being affected by shielding, grounding, the ZVS drivers, Dave Case's CD. Dave Case's CD, if you're feeling like certain emotions about something, use Dave Case's CD for a while, and you start using it at night, you'll start feeling those emotions disappear as you're listening to Dave Case's CD. So that's why the defenses are super important. Okay, let's go through this article. This is really good, and I'm going to go through that James G. Adorno video and go through some specific stuff too. But this is super cool. Okay, so this is from National Defense Magazine. Remember, I've read a lot of articles from this. NDIA is Business and Technology Magazine. It's from I thought it was 5/11 today. 5/11/2017. Weaponizing the Brain, Neuroscience Advancements Spark Debate. By James G. Adorno. By James G. Adorno. I didn't realize it was written by him, but it's by James G. Adorno. So let's see what he says in this article, and then my next live stream, I'm going to go through that video and see what he says there. Let's see if it's matching up, right? Let's see if it's matching. I'm sure it is. I'm sure he has some kind of, things that he says, kind of textbook like, and then things that he will deny. I'm glad that he's speaking out. I guess I'm very hesitant to just say he's like a bad guy. But I think that if somebody's in the system and they're not saying things on purpose that are murdering people, even if that's their job to do that, I say they're evil. Even if they don't think they're evil and they think it's justified and they're like, well, I can't really do anything about it. So they're still lying about something that's murdering people. So to me, it's not very good. But what I want to be careful about, because I kind of want to contact him and maybe talk to him, hopefully in the future, about this stuff. So I don't want to completely burn my bridges, which I might have. But I think there's some purposeful disinformation there. Rev 311 Micron, Dave Case's CD. So go to antitinitusv2k.com, antitinitusv2k.com to get Dave Case's CD. Please, everybody, try it. Some targeted individuals can. Dave Case, DAVECASE. Go to antitinitusv2k.com. Some targeted individuals can't stand it. It's pretty annoying sounds, but it's scientific. It's breaking up the biofeedback loop, the biorelevant feedback loop that a lot of this remote neural manipulation and pain in your nervous system and things like that are built upon. Even some things that feel external, which I'm not saying there aren't external hits, but when you go through this long enough, your attackers are going to be building up some things that might not be external but seem external. And it can really fight those back. It can fight the visual injections. Can fight emotional injections and things like that. Now there's some things that kind of just get through. They get through even if you're using, I don't know. I think that I've been using Dave Case's CD just at night, and I think I'm going to start using it, and I'm just going to use it for like 2 weeks straight all the time, and I'm going to see the difference, and I'm going to let y'all know. Kind of, it sucks because like I want to do other stuff, and just listening to that is kind of annoying. Yeah. antitinitusv2k.com. Yeah, y'all are talking about Dr. Ronnie Kilda? Yeah, Autumn targeted in New Zealand says my attackers are everywhere pretending to be TIs too. They even sub to my channel. Yeah, I had that, Autumn. Like I may still have it. But the deal is like, like Tom Green, I think was maybe one of my attackers. I don't know, maybe not. Neil Dale, they've definitely been on my channel. Like the people microwaving me have definitely made an account and come on my channel. The way that you deal with it though, like if you end up being able to ignore it, get good moderators like you, Autumn, you're an awesome moderator, and all the moderators are awesome. What they start doing, I think this is what my attackers have started doing, or the cyber hackers, right? They have to come in my chat and behave. So what's that going to do? They're just coming in there and acting like a real TI. They're maybe gathering information or whatever, but they can't insult or jab at me because the moderators are going to take them out, right? So if you start deleting those comments, even if maybe you're mistaken and it's a real targeted individual, like I know I'm not saying, because I'm saying you're right, you're probably right. But like even if maybe you do delete somebody who's maybe a real target, it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. But delete or you don't have comments, right? Yeah, just don't do the comments. What I would say like, I mean, like future knowledge, I don't know if he put his comment section back up. And if you have a channel, do what makes you comfortable and just put out information. I do think sometimes though that those comments by real targeted individuals really help non-target individuals to see that this is happening, right? Like just like this live stream in the chat room, y'all are talking about it, and it shows people that a lot of people are going through this, right? So I do think it's important in some ways. However, and I would say like if you want to have a comment section, just delete comments that make you feel uneasy. Block people from your channel. But if it becomes an emotional thing where it's hurting your remote neural manipulation, where it's a thing, then just don't have comments. Do whatever makes you feel comfortable. But I would suggest like trying it first. And I'm not saying you, Autumn, like keep doing what you're doing. But for any targeted individuals, like having a channel, you have a comment section, maybe try having the comments and just deleting the people that you don't think are real or are insulting you or insulting targeted individuals. Try that if it's not emotionally impacting. Like if it doesn't bother you, then try that. But then, I do want to say, do what makes you feel comfortable. Like Autumn, do what makes you feel comfortable with your channel. Future knowledge, do what makes you feel comfortable with your channel. I'm just saying it does, like having other real target individuals commenting, it kind of makes a difference, for non-TI seeing that this is happening. But I don't think it's not a big enough difference to risk your emotional safety, because your emotional safety can, with the remote neural manipulation, can spiral out, right? Like if I get really emotional about something and it's a setup, my attackers can really make it spiral out. So you got to be careful too. This is a Monster energy drink. I don't want to even hold it in front of the camera because the 666 thing. It's just in the machine outside of my condo. Yeah, Autumn says tortured to death with microwave attacks. Okay, Autumn said thought police. The worst part for me is the electronic torture, B2K, trauma-based mind control, psychotronic weapons, and it's real. Linda Costanza was murdered, tortured to death with microwave attacks. Yes, yes, Autumn. Yeah. I want to, like, I've been going through it lately, trying to get in touch with her, like, with her spirit, and just like, what does she want from me? What I'm trying to remember, like this morning, I fell asleep early yesterday morning, and she always wanted to do a morning conference call, like to get everybody feeling positive before they started the day. That's the type of person she was. How do we get more positive? How do we think of things to help people? And like I was thinking this morning, I was like, I'm gonna do that. But I fell asleep. I might do that, like if I'm awake in the morning time. Well, right now I'm awake in the morning time, but I'm actually reading this stuff. But if anybody wants to do that, it'd be a great idea. It'd be a great legacy thing for Linda. She wanted to do a morning. She did a morning conference call for a while. I don't know why it stopped or whatever, but she did a morning conference call where they would just talk about positive things to get targeted individuals ready for the day, because our attackers will do all these negative things during the night to our subconscious and everything, and then we'll get started on the day. They'll hit you with V2K like right when you wake up and attack so that you're negative all day. And so she really wanted to combat that. I thought that was a great idea. I thought that was a really great idea. I'm going to try and do it, in the future, if I'm just up, and I'm going to really actually do live streams where we just talk about positive stuff, just spiritual stuff. I really want to honor her. It's just really screwing me. I don't even know how to talk about it sometimes, but I like try and get in my attackers. It's weird. They did the inner voice stuff like they were her, to mess with me. But then like the woman on the V2K was like, it's too evil. I'm not doing that. You're not going to do that. It's really weird. It's like they have this thing where they act like there's lines they won't cross, but yet they're mutilating my brain and stuff like that. But I think Yeah, I think I've gotten in touch with her. Like after, I think I have. Like I've pictured her in my brain, like putting her hand on my shoulder and just, you know, just like my grandfather, and just saying like, you know, you're a good man, and you're doing what's right, and try and enjoy life. She said. I don't know if it was maybe my imagination, but she said, you know, who I can't do this. Okay, I can't do this. The main thing was trying to enjoy life. You know, help people. There's such good in this world. And I know if what was real, what I felt, then she is with her husband and she is at peace, like it real peace, you know? Oh man, I can't keep doing that. Wayne Moore says, "What's with the need to compare? What are y'all comparing?" Hey, David J. Hey, Cheryl. Cheryl says James, he's delusional. Who? Oh, that y'all are talking about somebody. Hey, James Stewart. Hey, Miss Kitten. Miss Kitten says, and Cheryl wasn't saying that about me. I just want to make that clear. They're just talking about not somebody. Miss Kitten says, hey, Miss Kitten says the military play video games in my mind while I'm in REM sleep most nights. Anyone else experience this? In fact, that's what I just woke up from. Yes, Miss Kitten. I would say that like most targeted individuals experience that. I get directed dreams and they'll make me wake up with a certain feeling, like an anxious feeling about something that I don't even need to feel anxious about. They for years and years and years they use the V2K psychic driving, directed dreaming, and then stuff that they're putting past my subconscious. I think with scalar energy. I don't know what they're doing with scalar energy, but they're definitely doing some stuff with scalar energy. Dave Case's CD, anti-tinnitus v2k.com, and then passive shielding on the head. It doesn't fix it, but it can give you relief, you know. And then sitting up when you're asleep, sit up, put yourself on an incline because your blood flow goes to your head when you're completely laying down. And a lot of these electromagnetic pulses to the vestibular system are super, super intense because you got blood all around them. You got blood in the blood vessels and blood all around your head. So make sure, guys, try sleeping up for a while, not just one night. It might not correct it one night, but do it for a while. Like get one of those styrofoam wedges. Yeah, Wayne, none of this is funny. None of this is funny. Yeah, Wayne Moore says they poison us all constantly. I love you too, Native. Thank you for coming. Hope you guys are doing okay. Fine. I mean, I find relief with defenses, but it's like it's still really hard. Still sometimes it's just like, yeah, it's really hard. Yeah, Native says she hears you, Kyle. God can help that conversation with her happen. Love you, man. Yeah, I think it was real. Like I believe it was real, and because it just seemed like her, and it seemed like what she would say, you know. And it was a lot about being happy, finding joy, even though the world's falling apart, right? We're good human beings. And it really sounded like Linda. And it was just, it wasn't like her voice. It wasn't V2K. It wasn't audible. It was something like that wasn't even my inner voice. It was like in my heart, like a message straight to my heart. And I am going to believe that it was her. And if it was, then she is really at peace. Like she's really at peace. And she doesn't regret anything she did at the end of her life to help people. Obviously, she shouldn't. And it's you know we have to do those things, right? With these traumatic, awful things. Like if I lost my dad, like if he, you know, in the future, my grandma, I'm gonna have to try and connect with them. And as human beings, we have these things, and we believe in an afterlife, and we believe in a higher power, and they're practical things that help us to move along like our family members want to. So there's an energy there. There's a true energy there that is real, and we don't know the science of it, right? But it's real. It's real, and we just haven't discovered what the science is yet. Dr. Ronnie Kilda talked about it a lot. She's a very scientific woman. She talked about the afterlife. She talked about near-death experiences and stuff like that. She balanced her logical side with this great spiritual side, you know? What was Thought Police doing? Sure, it was a. Okay, let me read this, guys. Yeah, Cheryl Lou says it's sad, James. Yeah, this is all very sad. Mike Morris is being removed from this chat worse than V2K. Yeah, you got moderators, y'all got to do, because I can't watch the chat all the time. So I entrust my moderators, and that's it. That's the bottom line, because I can't keep my eye on everything that everybody's saying, and so I have to do that. And that's what, if you do live stream as a targeted individual, I'm telling you, it's a great strategy. Targeted individuals that come to your chat room, and like, especially if they're making videos and you can see them and you trust them, and you know that they're smart and they're saying, they're actually conveying the information right, make them a moderator, and don't get one moderator, because you don't want to put weight on somebody, especially you don't want to make everybody have to come to all your live streams. Get a couple moderators, get a 10, and then you'll have some at every live stream, and they can just do it. I mean, I can't, I do trust you guys completely. And there are going to be some people in the chat room that aren't for real. Okay, so the rapid advancement of neuroscience and its corresponding technologies has prompted renewed and growing interest in both its development and the ethical concerns about the use of such techniques and tools in military and security contexts. In 2008, the National Research Council of the National Academies of Science reported that the brain sciences showed potential for military and warfare applications, but were not yet wholly viable for operational use. However, by 2014, a subsequent report of the National Academies, Emerging and Readily Available Technologies and National Security, a framework for addressing ethical, legal, and societal issues, concurred with a series of white papers by the Strategic Multi-Layer Assessment Group of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and a 2013 New Field Council report stating that developments in the field had progressed to the extent that rendered the brain sciences viable, of definitive value, and a realistic concern for the military. Now, we know that they already were using it. Like the American agencies, the CIA, the NSA, the Pentagon knows about these things and knows that they're using these things. So this is like to show the public. This is stuff that they release to the public, like, oh, these things are about, because they know that people are finding out about them. So they have to spin it, right? They have to spin it and say, oh, well, these neurosciences are viable, and they want to keep the public behind, right? Behind what's really happening. Not behind, like, they want to keep them, not caught up to what's actually happening in society. This is actually, this is by James G. Dornan. This article is by James G. Dornan. This timeline is important as it reflects the rapid and iteratively more sophisticated capability to create and exploit neuroscientific methods and technologies to access the brain and assess and affect its functions of cognition, emotion, and behavior. Advancements in neuroscience could be used to create super soldiers, link brains to weapon systems, which is being done to targeted individuals, being done to me right at this moment, and all of you guys in chat, if you're real targeted individuals, systems for command and control, or even manipulate groups or leaders into taking actions they normally wouldn't do. Obviously, new developments in brain science can be harnessed to improve neurological and psychiatric care within military medicine, and a number of ongoing Defense Department programs are doing so. The Defense Advancement Research Projects Agency, the Army Medical Research and Material Command and the Naval Bureau of Medicine and Surgery are generating new techniques and technologies for treating brain injury, neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease, and certain psychiatric conditions such as post-traumatic stress disorder and depression. They're also causing post-traumatic stress disorder and depression with integrated weapon systems, with integrated directed energy weapon systems, and integrated neuroweapons are directed energy, but directed energy isn't always a neuroweapon, right? So integrated directed energy weapon system. This article is probably going to have a more positive bent. Like it's probably going to, because he wants to make this all this stuff seem positive, but he does talk about dual use. So let's see if he does in here. Okay, yeah, this is where he does. Okay, however, there's also considerable potential for dual use applications of neuroscientific methods and tools that extend beyond the bedside. Many of these may reach battlefields. Many of them are in our communities, are being used in our communities. They're being used far away from the targets that they're hitting. Millions and millions of targeted individuals all over the world, in communities, in cities, right now, as we speak, and everybody knows this. These include the use of various drugs and forms of neurotechnologies, such as neurofeedback, transcranial electrical and magnetic stimulation, and perhaps even implantable devices for training and performance optimization of intelligence and combat personnel. Brain-computer interfaces could be used to control aircraft, boats, or unmanned vehicles. Military and warfare uses also entail the development and engagement of agents such as drugs, microbes, toxins, and devices as weapons. Devices as weapons, also called neuroweapons, to affect the nervous system and modify opponents' thoughts, feelings, senses, actions, health, or in some cases to incur lethal consequences. And targeted individuals, just like Linda, have died. Their bodies have given out from this torture. Phil Leak, many others. So I just want to stop and say, okay, so I want to address this as much as I can. When people who maybe don't know about target individuals say, what makes you so important? Stop doing that, because look, and devices as weapons, also called neuroweapons, to affect the nervous system and modify opponents' thoughts, feelings, senses, actions, health, or in some cases to incur lethal consequences. So they're practicing on a lot of the public, but they are picking people with important information, compassionate people, non-compliant people and stuff like that. But they're just doing it to so many people because they're trying to get as much data as they can about every personality, every type of genetics, every type of family, mothers with children. It's so satanic. They want to see, like, what's the difference between attacking a mother with children and attacking their children, and what kind of responses are we getting then between a single man? What kind of response is he going to give? Different, so they're seeing what will happen, what they can get people to do, how they can affect them, so that they can use it more and more on the battlefield and off, in political situations, in wartime situations, and just, and right now they're using it in like peacetime. Well, there should be peace in my condo, right? Where you guys are with your families, or even if you're living alone, you should have peace. They're using it just everywhere. The world is a petri dish, right? The use of neuroscience and technology to optimize the performance of military personnel could potentially lead to the creation of super soldiers. This remains a provocative and contentious issue. When viewing in a positive light, such approaches could and arguably should be employed to prevent warfare. For example, intelligence and military personnel who have increased cognitive, emotional, and/or behavioral capacities might be able to more easily and capably detect threats, function under arduous conditions with less stress, and have increased sensitivity to socio-cultural and physical cues and nuances in foreign environments. They could be more effective in reducing the risk of violence. These goals led to efforts such as the Intelligence Advanced Research Projects Activities, Socio-Cultural Content, and Language Program. So IARPA's, I think that's narrative language program and metaphor program. Oh, okay, yeah, which both sought to improve insight into cultural, linguistic, and emotional norms. DARPA's Narrative Networks program aimed to utilize neurocognitive science and technology to improve narratives in socio-cultural contexts. And I'm sure in a lot of those programs that DARPA does, that's kind of like the little brain, and then it spreads out where all these agencies and contractors do it too. They're trying to get a baseline, right? So you're doing the narrative networks program to learn like somebody's brain thinks of a certain word or a certain image or something like that. Then it'll appear like this with remote neural monitoring. So then they can, when they're manufacturing the weapons and developing the software and everything, they can use those baseline things that DARPA is doing. I think that's how like, remote neural monitoring works. It's like they're matching an EEG signal of a certain image in your brain because they know they can match it up. They've done things at a kind of baseline level and found out what that image, what the EEG looks like when that image is created. My attackers last night, like this is what I've told y'all they do this. They to do a litmus test of like how good I'm receiving the image in my brain, they'll do the Roadrunner. And it's metaphorical too. It's metaphorical, like, because they do that to see like how clear the image is they're getting back and how clear it is for me. And they do it as a metaphor because they see me as the coyote, right? Like they're the road runner. The coyote's always trying to catch them, but it's like he can't catch them or whatever. And they think it's very, very amusing. And then I asked the guy this, and he responded in my inner voice very quickly. I said, I read comic books. Do you guys read comic books? And I was like, and they're like, and he said yes in my inner voice. And I said, well, what kind of comic books would you read? Because they're all like superheroes. They do good things. And he goes, Punisher. Like in my inner voice, Punisher. So like they actually picture themselves as like a Punisher type character. It's, and I'm like, well, what the Punisher doesn't kill innocent people and innocent families, right? But you guys know this is all kind of psyops, right? They may not actually, they're just kind of, they're playing into my beliefs and things that I like. It gets very weird. But while such questions and concerns may suggest the need for a reflective pause, it's important to note that brain research and its corresponding technologies are becoming even more international, and a number of countries such as China and Russia and some US allies are engaged in these pursuits and are interested in their military viability and use. This creates a situation that tends to sustain, if not advance. It's advancing. It's been advancing since after World War II, at least. This creates a situation that tends to sustain, if not advance, the pace and extent of research, development, and incorporation of neuroscience and technology in intelligence and military initiatives. The internationalization of brain science, taken together with the speed. Oh, let me put this in the chat, guys. I need to do that before I start reading an article. Stop sharing for a second. Somebody remind me of that too. Like before I read an article, say put this in the chat. I'm going to put it in the description too. Hey, Jack Rock. Jack Rock says, Tanya, the best years ahead. Yeah, we've got to believe that. We've got to keep hoping, and we've got to like even though the program's not ending, we've got to fight for those good years by using defenses, biohacking ourselves with supplements and stuff. Hey, politically persecuted, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. It says, thanks for the link, Kyle. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm going to do that before I read stuff. I'm going to put it in chat so you guys can have it already and maybe read along. No. Rev 31 Micron says, I hope people don't think I'm a perp because I wear a Punisher hat. I also wonder if this has made my targeting worse. No, Punisher's cool. Punisher goes after bad guys, though. Like really bad criminals who kill other people. And I'm not saying that we should go out and do that in society. I'm just saying it's a lot different than these people. is they go after really good people. Yeah, James Stewart, I have the same thing. James Stewart says, Cheryl, does a drone at my site? There's a drone at my site every night, though maybe they do want to through that. I have a drone like a lot. Like some nights there will be no nerd. There will be no there will be no stars in the sky. There will be this huge thing that looks way bigger than a star. So much bigger than a star, and it's like usually over to this side. Sometimes I'll move it over to this side, and then sometimes it's not there at all, and it's not a planet or anything like that. It's definitely some kind of drone because it has this little red twinkling on it. Yeah, I like that, Drunken Ninja. Drunken Ninja says, that's how I feel, Tanya. Even with all this, I'm still grateful I had the chance to live this life. Life is a gift. We got to reverse, we're like, well, we had this life and we learned that we should be comfortable and we should have this and that, but we need to just say, we have life. We are alive. We can eat stuff and taste it and like, have friends and, it's not all good because we're targeted and tortured. There's still things that we can enjoy, and like life is the greatest gift. And I know that there's good forces in this universe that will help us to have enjoyment, that will help us to fight evil, that will help us to not be depressed about being murdered all the time. Yeah. Wayne Moore says, True Cliff, this is beyond high tech. Yeah, like I haven't even read a lot of stuff on scalar waves, and I really think that scalar wave, 0-point energy is being used is the norm. I think it's being used as the norm on targeted individuals. I think it's being used as a norm for mostly manipulation of neurons. 0-point energy is being used to manipulate neurons and actually do some of the why are people getting their messages retracted? Are you guys doing that? Are y'all retracting your own messages, or are your attackers doing that? Cliffview. Okay, wait, let's go back to the article. Okay, so let's just read this over. But while such questions and concerns may suggest the need for a reflective pause, it's important to note that brain research and its corresponding technologies are becoming even more international, and the number of countries such as China and Russia and some U.S. allies are engaging in these pursuits and are interested in their military viability and use. This creates a situation that tends to sustain, if not advance, the pace and extent of research, development, and incorporation of neuroscience and technology in intelligence and military initiatives. The internationalization of brain science, taken together with the speed of its progress, fosters additional concerns about the development and use of neuroweapons. While existing international agreements on biological and chemical weapons, such as the Hague Conventions, Geneva Protocol, and the Biologic Toxin and Weapons Convention, limit institutional research. You see, he said that too in his interview. He said, the Geneva Convention. And he talked about the one right after World War II. I can't remember. It's so simple. Everybody knows it. The Nuremberg Treaty. He talked about that, and he said there's nothing on the books that because this would be very inhumane, right? So he knows. Dr. Giordano knows. He knows that people are being tortured. He talks about. See, he says like, oh, this isn't on the books and stuff. But then in a lot of his lectures, he says, in a lot of countries, they kind of, they cheat to get ahead. They take shortcuts, right? And that's what he's talking about. So you got to read in between the lines with him. I guess I understand. I understand that his family would probably be murdered if he said what they didn't want him to say. So I don't know. So in chemical weapons such as the Hague Conventions, Geneva Protocol, and the Biologic Toxin and Weapons Convention limit institutional research. stockpiling and international trade of certain toxins and microbiologicals such as ricin and anthrax, some neurobiological substances and technologies developed for medical products that are readily available on the commercial market might not fall within existing international rules. I think it does. I think neuroweapons and neurotoxins, if they hurt somebody and they destroy their mind and they rape them, we have laws against rape. We have laws against murder. We have laws against torture. The weapons don't matter. I think that's a huge, like, kind of dancing around things and saying, well, it's a new weapon, so no laws are created for it. No. There's a law against murder and there's a law against torture. So I hate it when people use that, when people are like, well, some of these weapons don't really fall into any international laws or a country's laws, really, because it's electromagnetic frequencies. No, it's the same as an axe. It's the same as like axing somebody's brain. It's murder. Like, this is also murder, or torturing somebody with a hammer, hitting their head with a hammer. That's illegal. The same thing with something that harms the body, anything that harms the body. They have laws against torture, rape, and murder. I hate it when people use that. Oh, it's something new that you're hurting people with. There are really no rules for that. So advancements in neuroscience could be used to create super soldiers. Or in my case, it's used to degrade my abilities. It's used to degrade my thinking. It even cuts into my energetic qualities, right? I mean, which is, I'm going to fight back, I'm going to resist, and it's not going to stop me, and I'm going to evolve past it. But it's not trying to create a super soldier in me. It's trying to whittle down things that were really good about me, my intelligence, my memory, and stuff. It's trying to make my brain slower, trying to hurt. I mean, they're trying to actually, like, in this live stream, my vagus nerve and all through my eye and down here, they stimulate that vagus nerve, and it gives me this burning feel. It makes it kind of hard to talk. So they're trying to even mess up my ability to speak and communicate with people. So it can create super soldiers. Yeah, it could make people a lot stronger and make them a lot less tired when they need to be less tired. But then it's dual use. They can also hurt people and degrade their capabilities, which they're doing probably to all of us, me and you guys in chat. Probably not. I mean, maybe sometimes they'll give you like a good feeling. Maybe sometimes they don't. My attackers don't really, not that I know of, they don't give me any good feeling, but they might do that occasionally. But probably all of us, it's all negative effects, right? It's all torture and murder and making and putting this in a negative frequencies to affect our emotions and our capabilities. But we'll get a lot stronger by resisting that, because resistance builds strength, and we can evolve past some of this stuff and become even stronger. So it's a very ironic thing. I really believe that. Like, I'm not just saying that, guys. I've become stronger in a lot of ways, and I've seen a lot of you guys become spiritually stronger, emotionally stronger, even physically stronger and tough. These include neurotropic drugs created in pharmaceutical labs, bioregulators defined as substances that affect biological processes such as opioids and other peptides, and neuromodulatory technologies such as transcranial or deep brain stimulating devices. And there's stuff way beyond just electromagnetic transcranial stimulation that goes straight through the skull to areas of the brain. And I think that is scalar technology within electromagnetic fields. That's my hypothesis right now, and I'm going to look more into it. I might have to do the thing on scalar waves on a short video, after this. Okay, as noted in the 2008 National Academy of Sciences report, products intended for the health market can and frequently are studied and developed for possibly employment in military applications. In the United States, any such activity in federally funded programs would be subject to oversight in accordance with dual-use policies, reflecting the general tenor of current international biological and chemical weapons conventions. That is a lie. That is a lie, because this is set up under the CIA, under the NSA, under the Pentagon, under the DOD, and they have contractors and subcontractors. Now, what he may be kind of getting around things, these are federally funded programs because the NSA is federally funded, the DoD is federally funded, the CIA is federally funded. And if they're contracting out torture and experimentation with these weapon systems to contractors and subcontractors, that is federally funded. Now, what he wants to do is he wants to dance around it and say, well, it's front companies, so they aren't really connected. It's not really federally funded because these agencies are taking their own money and subcontracting it out. And I told y'all this. I said, that's why they have these Frankenstein monsters, these contractors and subcontractors to do the dirty work, because then you can get people like James G. Dorno saying, well, it's really not governmental agencies, right? And it is. They're contracting the experimentation out, but they're not like directly doing like and I still question that. If federal agencies actually do this, and this isn't just an outright lie, but that's one of the reasons why they get front companies to do it, so they can separate it. They can try and separate it from the government, which is a lie. It's just a lie. Simplified, it's a lie. It's a lie, because these things, our torture all over the world, and if you're in another country, your government is federally funding this torture and experimentation. Senators and representatives are funding directed energy weapons programs that these integrated weapon systems being used on people. They are funding it. Bottom line, that is a lie. It is. It's just a straight up lie. But that leaves a gap that foreign governments could exploit. He's a liar. But that leaves a gap that foreign government, he knows, he's smart enough and he knows a lot about this stuff. He's an advisor to the Pentagon on neuroweapons, on neuro-technologies. He's been contacted by citizens in the United States and other countries saying that they're being hit by these weapons. He is smart enough to know this is happening. I guess I'll just add though that probably he's lying, because if he did like tell the whole truth, he probably has certain things that like he'd either be thrown in jail or his family would be murdered, and you can make of that what you will. I still think, like, because it's the death of humanity, the death of free will, innocent people are losing their lives, children are being tortured. I say that, at the very I guess I don't want to go too far on that, because I kind of do I want information from him. I want information from James E. Dorno, and I might want to contact him. And if he sees this and sees that I'm like bashing him, he might not be too kind to me. So let me just read it. Let me just even it out. I just don't think those are truthful things. I think it's disinformation. But that leaves a gap that foreign governments could exploit using health research as a veil to pursue new military neuroscience and technology, and shielding their activities behind commercial norms, protecting proprietary interests in intellectual property. Which is a main concern, because I think a lot of us are concerned about like ideas that we have or inventions that we have or ideas for certain things being stolen and funneled into some other companies or something like that. Cognitive liberty also, to the ability to have our own thoughts, but actually stealing intellectual property from people's brains. Like, I think that they do that to Dave Case. Dave Case is an inventor, and he uses a CD. So like I think he's doing pretty well, but I think the tactic they use on him is they're trying to get any ideas that he would have. So a lot of very smart inventors where they're like doing remote neural monitoring and taking all the good ideas, and they may not hurt them as much, right? Because they're doing these different protocols, right? They're hurting me. They don't care about what I think. Like, I have a fantasy novel that I want to write, but I guarantee you they probably don't care about that. A further concern is that, and I'm trying to think of an invention that's like really simple and small that could make me a lot of money, but I haven't even really come up with anything. Like the pooper scooper, but like something like that, but I can't really think of anything that would sell well. Maybe I'll just make my own type of pooper scooper. Doggy toothbrushes. I don't know why I'm thinking of things to clean up after my dog. I guess my dog's pretty messy. Um, a further concern is that neurobiological and neurochemical substances and certain neurotechnologies can be obtained or developed with relative ease by non-state actors. Of note is a growing worldwide community of black hat, do-it-yourself biohacker scientists. This is misdirection. There's organized torture. There's organized experimentation. That's a fact, guys, 100%. Now, there are some people doing it like this, but if you're getting tortured for 24/7 for decades, for years and years and years, it's not going to be some people in a house doing it for fun. It's just not. It's just not. I completely 100% believe that. I think people do use this for vengeance and stuff, but that kind of targeting would be short-lived, and they wouldn't have the money to just sit there and keep doing it. You know, has to be organized for them to keep doing it for so long and have automated systems that keep doing it. But this does exist. Okay, this does exist. Of note is the growing worldwide community of black hat, do-it-yourself biohacker scientists who may be supported by state-endorsed venture capital with explicit intent toward disrupting public safety, stability, and health, and who may operate without regard for regulations defined by current signatory treaties and conventions. It's just sad. It's just sad that you have somebody who, like, he's an expert on neurotechnologies and he's lying. And it just makes me look like a conspiracy theorist, but it's like completely true. This is organized. They have front companies, contractors, manufacturers, as big as Lockheed Martin, as big as Boeing, manufacturing these weapons, and then subcontractors are actually carrying out the experimentation and torture. But he like stays away from talking about that because he's involved with that. And yeah, I'd like to question him. I'd like to question him about it. You know, the woman who interviewed him for that interview, she was very just like, okay, oh, that's great. I would like to drill him on it. And I get, you know, maybe he couldn't say anything, but it's sad. Yeah, like New Type was saying it earlier. My heart sank because he, like, I'm like, oh, he's going to talk about it. He's talking about neuroethics. If you're talking about ethics, you got to tell the truth. Like, I mean, you can't sit there and say neuroethics. I mean, these really bad people, and I get frustrated with this because I'm a nice person and I'm definitely not doing anything wrong or tricking people or putting out disinformation. But people are right. Some of these people who are very, very evil, they justify it in their heads and they tell lies and they say in their head, oh, well, I'm not even really telling a lie because I'm talking about it. But if you're missing a crucial part of people being tortured all over the world non-consensually, then you are lying if you know about it. It's just huge just bomb in the moral line, right? In right and wrong, where people are like, oh, well, I'm justified doing this and I'm still a good person. No, you're not. You're not. If people are dying and you're not telling people and you know about it, and you're staying away from that and actually lying about organized. You know, he says stuff that it's not on the books, right? It's not on the federal. It's not like on any books that he knows about. I don't know. It's very frustrating. I can't say this way or that. I'm certain 100% that he's just lying on purpose, but I kind of am. I mean, he has to be smart enough, but I think that like he knows that this is happening, but he maybe, I don't know. I just think he's involved. I think he, you know, the European Brain Project and anything with neuroscience and neurotechnologies in the United States, he's gonna have oversight over it. He's gonna know that it's happening. He's gonna work with these contractors. And then he talks about neuroethics. Yeah. Okay, the increasing availability of tools for do-it-yourself neurobiology, such as gene editing kits that can be employed to genetically modify existing microbes and toxins and make them more potent or lethal, increases the probability of both their use and attendant risks and threats that such techniques and their products pose to national security. Former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper stated last year that gene editing should be regarded for its potential for creating biological weapons. gene editing should be regarded for its potential for creating biological weapons. The impact of neuroweapons is equally important to consider. While nerve agents such as sarin or pathogens such as anthrax can induce somewhat widespread effects, other more sophisticated neuroweapons should not be regarded as weapons of mass destruction, but rather as weapons of mass disruption, often with subtle, albeit intensifying effects. Yeah, if you have an automated system that's kind of subtly microwaving you, which a lot of us, it's not subtle. It's not subtle. It's cooking the body. It feels like it's cooking the body. It's really manipulating your brain and messing up your brain, messing up your thinking, and inducing stress, inducing depression, inducing like suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. That's not subtle. It's going to be subtle, to the outside of that person. Like people are not going to, notice that they have a hole in their chest, but it's going to be hugely intensifying effects for that person's life and everyone around them. So that's right. It would be subtle to your neighbors and stuff who are like, oh, well, they look okay. They look like maybe they're crazy or on drugs or something, but they don't have a bullet wound, right? But it's way more damaging. And that's what makes it more dangerous than like normal guns and normal weapons, because at least then everybody can be aware that it's happening and everybody can do the right thing. In this case, nobody knows what's happening, and everybody, heaps more harassment on us through gang stalking and COINTELPRO and all this harassment crap. Okay, for instance, neurologically acting drugs can be used to selectively target the thoughts, sentiments, and actions of an individual, such as a political or military leader, to evoke a change in his or her ideas, emotions, and behavior. This could exert effect on those they lead, influencing their views and actions toward either conformity or dissonance. I worry about that a lot with my videos, because my personality, and like I was way more angry at the beginning of this and way more passionate. I mean, I'm passionate, but it's like my mental passion, right? My mental ability to get really angry. And I'm sometimes worried about that. I'm like, am I telling people, I try not to give too much advice. I try and say, follow your heart. So I try and cover my bases there. But like, am I wrong to say, hey, well, I'm not going to go into that. To say, we got to do this peaceful way. Sometimes I just question whether or not they make me passive, and then maybe it makes you guys passive. And we're not never mind, we're not passive. I worry about the effects. We're taking action, but sometimes I question if they're changing me, and then because I'm putting out information about this. I do question that a lot. So you guys know that I question it, and I make sure that I'm like, okay, no, this is right. And I question a lot of the things that remote neural manipulation is doing to me. But I see that in other targeted individuals that speak out, where they may be, influenced, and their mind's influenced to say something that's not good for targeted individuals, even though they're trying to help, right? So we've got to be very, very aware of that. They're trying to do that. They're trying to affect certain people so that it will affect the groups that they're in. And who's the number one manipulated group in the world? Neuromanipulation and propaganda and COINTELPRO and stuff. The number one manipulator in the world is us, because they're practicing on us, right? And I don't think they're beta testing anymore, but they're still doing it to us, and they're still trying to disrupt our groups. And this is information because they're going to use this to manipulate all these other groups in the world, right? So we're the number one group that they're trying to manipulate, and it works a lot, right? We're all paranoid of each other. We think each other are agent. Like if somebody disagrees with us, it's like, oh no, they're a perp or whatever. It works, right? So I mean, that's part of the war. That's part of the fight. Is the weapons of mass disruption, along with our torture and our murder and everything. They're trying to disrupt the groups that we're forming to try and come to a resolution and get this stopped. So we just have to be aware of that and keep thinking of solutions. Certain neuroactive drugs, toxins, and our microbes can also be used against. Did I already say? Can also be used against larger scale targets to incur ripple consequences within a group, community, or population. And that's how I see our targeting, like with our community, with the community that we live in, right? I think DHS fusion centers are trying to like put themselves out as like, oh, we're creating organization, we're creating safety because we're watching dangerous people. But when you're microwaving somebody in a community and using neuroweapons on them, it's this ripple effect of fear in the community. And it doesn't really, like, people come together to like hurt and harass and murder that person, but really it's a trick, because in actuality it's sending these negative ripples out into the community, this fear and when people are afraid and they're confused and they're being lied to, then they do more violent actions, more criminal actions. Like, I have so many people that, like, they'll come out, they'll walk outside when I'm walking outside with their neon shirts. They wear neon shirts sometimes. It's like really young. Sometimes it's young people. Like today it was a young guy, and I'm just like, is this making him more dangerous? Like, I didn't do anything. I'm a target individual, but since he thinks he has some kind of power or gang stalking over me, is that making him dangerous? So he's going to go out and maybe hurt somebody because he's afraid, because he thinks that he can now do violence because the authority has mandated it. It does not create organization safety. Like, that's an illusion. It's these ripple effects of fear and violence. And we all know it. We all know it. For example, these agents could be dispersed to produce sentinel cases of individuals who exhibit neuropsychiatric and other physical signs and symptoms. What happens to us? We try and go get medical help. We get on Social Security. We do this, we do that. We go into, it creates a whole cycle of destroying our society. Attribution as a terrorist action and accompanying misinformation about salient and escalating signs and symptoms, such as anxiety, sleeplessness, and paranoia, could be propagated over the internet. Let's think about all the false flag shootings. And I'm not saying people didn't die in them or somebody didn't shoot anybody, but think about all those, we'll just say mass shootings. Think about that. And think about how many of those people were probably targeted individuals. They use those people, they go out and do a mass shooting. Maybe there's even more complicated psyops and multiple shooters in some of those situations. But the ones where it was a targeted individual maybe doing that, it creates these ripple effects of fear, and people don't know why it happened. They try to attribute it to different things. They try and attribute it to the wrong things, right? So, I mean, we see it. We see that happening in the United States, in these more civilized countries like Australia and in England and things like that. And he's talking about it right here. He's just not admitting that countries like England, Australia, New Zealand, United States, other countries like that are doing it, are definitely doing it to their own citizens and trying to create that chaos. Uh-oh. Okay, this would tend to amplify reactions among an expanding number of members of the group or population, who would then seek healthcare and thereby evoke an increasing burden on the public health system, even if only in the short term. And this is a build-up, this is a long-term build-up of neuroweapons targeting, of being targeted by toxins and poisons and things like that in nanotechnologies. This build up, and we see more people becoming sick and having to use healthcare and getting on Medicare and stuff like that. More people getting on Social Security and things like that. Filling up the hospitals and things like that, to put a burden on the system. Because these people at the top, even if some of these low-level agency workers, and I still consider the people microwaving me to be low-level. They're like ex-military and stuff, sign up with contractors. They may think what they're doing is actually helping something. Like, I don't know. I think some of them are just evil, and they know that they're creating chaos. They may be Masons or Satanists and things like that. They want to destroy society or whatever. But I think some of them think that they're actually patriots doing what needs to be done for their country. And they don't understand this is definitely meant to destroy our countries. It's definitely meant for that. It's definitely meant to destroy individuals in the microcosm and in the macrocosm. It's meant to destroy our civilized countries and then rebuild whatever kind of weird New World Order dystopia. They're going to call it a utopia, but it's going to be a dystopia, and it's rolling along. Subsequent internet messaging of narratives aimed at denigrating any governmental responses and attempting to quell public concerns in reaction to the threat could be used to both foster dissolution of public trust and increased widening social disruption. One need only to recall the public response to the very limited distribution of anthrax in the weeks following the 9/11 attacks for evidence of the viability and possible effects of such tactics. Yeah. To be sure, brain science is not the only venue for the development of new tools and weapons, yet it confers powerful capabilities to affect minds and hearts. Doesn't really affect my heart. Yeah, I guess he means emotions, so yeah. Minds and hearts, and therefore affords clear and present leverage in military and warfare operations. And what do all these military agencies, like the CIA in the United States, and then all the agencies in other countries, what do they want? They want more control over the people. So they're going to use these things on innocent citizens to collect data, to experiment, to see what they can make people do, and to also create chaos so they can get more control in a problem reaction solution on many different levels and many different angles, and not just these neuroweapons, but toxins, biological weapons such as the coronavirus. Think about what kind of control China can get over its people now. Think about what they could put in vaccines that they offer to people to get rid of the coronavirus or to not get the coronavirus. What kind of nanotechnologies? Maybe this is a bid by China to put more nanotechnologies in people through, vaccines for this, and then they get a jump on their neuroweapons because then they can hit people more intensely and experiment on their people more, and then other angles of control too. I mean. Wow, I didn't think about the vaccine, but I just thought that wow, China's going to have a lot more control over its people. Even if the economy takes a nosedive for China, it's going to be able to implement a whole lot of new policies to control its people even more. That's so scary. Okay. Recognition and a realistic appraisal of these capabilities and its limits are crucial steps to readiness and response. In these times of rapidly reduced budgets and limited resources, it thus becomes ever more important to accurately estimate the relative benefit, burden, risks, and threats that specific types and applications of neuroscience and technology will incur, and to develop and maintain a proactive posture to ensure the possibilities for these developments both now and in the future. So let's read his whole history here. James Adorno, PhD, is a professor in the departments of neurology and biochemistry, chief of the neuroethics studies program, and co-director of the O'Neill Pellegrino program in brain science and global health law and policy at Georgetown University Medical Center, Washington, DC. His latest book is Neuro-Technology in National Security and Defense, Practical Considerations, Neuroethical Concerns. Some neuroethical concerns right on this live stream. All of us, we're a huge neuroethical concern factually when our brains are being, tethered to directed energy, and then we're being hit with external weapons that cook our body, create trauma, so that we get tired and our brain can be tapped into even more to damage our brain or to push our emotions and our thoughts this way or that. And I'm sure there are so many, and I hope none of you guys like this. I hope none of you guys in the chat are at this point. There's so many targeted individuals in the world on the verge of suicide at this moment, or on the verge of their bodies giving out. And some, how many hundreds to thousands of targeted individuals' bodies have given out today? Or how many hundreds to thousands of targeted individuals have committed suicide today? That's a huge neuroethical concern. It's just an ethical concern. It's just an ethical concern, and everybody who's putting out any information against us, saying that we're crazy and everything, they need to read information like that. They need to listen to us. They need to get over themselves, and they need to start telling the truth, because this is about the human race. It's not even just about America or Australia or New Zealand or New England or England, Britain. Can you call England or Britain either one now? Or is one, you just say England? Can you call it Britain? Britain. Okay, I don't want to show my ignorance right now. I think I just did. The views expressed in this essay do not necessarily reflect those of the EU Human Brain Project, DARPA, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, or the Defense Department, all of which he has served an advisor. So he makes sure to say not all of these things are necessarily expressed by these DARPA and the Joint Chiefs of Staff because they don't give a crap about morals. They don't give a crap about neuroethical concerns. All they want is power and advancing the weapons and advancing the research on the brain and what you got to do to push somebody's personality or emotions this way or that. So he's saying, like, I believe in ethics, but these agencies, they, these views aren't necessarily there. So it's a very important article. We've got to, I don't know how to deal with that because he puts out a lot of great information that we need to put out to people, right? But a lot of things I do see are maybe not him going, hey, I'm a disinformation agent and I'm going to like put out true information and then put out false information, but it's him making sure that he isn't murdered and his family isn't murdered while speaking about this. So he is purposely lying. I guess you just call that a disinformation agent. Okay, that's all I wanted to do for this live stream, guys. Let me read, let me actually pull it up on my computer. I hate reading the chat off my tablet. Hey, Brian. Brian says American shadow government contractors hiding behind and using law enforcement agencies and other government agencies. Yeah, Jack Rock says the car swarming here was just epic. It cooled off lately. Mine is like it's always going, but it's died down a lot. Like I haven't seen a lot of like law enforcement, vehicularly harassing me because I don't go out much. It's kind of like clockwork. It's not really, really bad right now, the gang stalking, but the neuroweapons attacks are very bad for me. Brian too says foreign domestic to do their dirty work for training, research, and development in mind control technologies. So Brian too says there are two types of strategy games: games of complete information and games of incomplete information. Yeah. So, well, I don't agree with that. I don't think anybody has complete information, bro. I mean, I think you have a lot of great information. I think I put out true information, but I think we're missing a lot. I think there's still incomplete information, even from people who try and get everything right, because the global system of mind control, the global system of this training, research, and development is so complex and it has so many angles. So you get some people talking about one thing and they think they're covering it all, but they might be missing something. But I think there's definite misinformation, which isn't purposeful, where people are trying to figure out things, but they may say the wrong thing. Then there's disinformation, which is very, very purposeful. And then there's people who maybe get everything right that they say, but they may not cover everything about neuroweapons and neurotoxins and everything like that. Well, let's see what Brian 2 thinks. Brian 2 says a game of complete information is one in which every player can see all of the, oh, okay, you're talking about that. A game of complete information is one in which every player can see all of the parameters and options of every other player. Okay, I get you. Tansy says, oh, wow, that's so insightful and interesting, Brian, too. We weren't aware of those facts. Thank you. So Brian too says, tic-tac-toe is a game of complete information. An average adult can solve this game with less than 30 minutes of practice. So what would chess be, Brian? Drunken Ninja says tic-tac-toe on PS4. Brian says that is adopt a strategy that no matter what your opponent does, you can correctly counter it to obtain a draw, the Nash equilibrium. If your opponent deviates from that same strategy, you can exploit. Okay. What would and he says and win. What would chess be? Okay, Brian too says a basic game of uncertainty is rock, scissors, paper, where you don't know what your opponent's going to do. Yeah, Brian too says, if your opponent throws rock, you want to throw paper. If they throw paper, you want to throw scissors, and so on. Hey, Jeanette. Hey, Biggie Sanders. What I try and do, because I know there's hyper game. I know there's hyper game theory. There's our attackers are playing a hyper game with us. So what I try and do is I try and like do things that I know are going to work, and I have to think about them, but then I have to trust in God to lead me down paths that even I don't see, and my attackers won't see them either. So it's been this thing of like trying to reach as far as I can towards things I don't know, and my attackers can't see them coming because I can't see them coming, right? And it works. It really works sometimes when you trust God, when you step out in faith. You have things that even you didn't know were coming, so your attackers couldn't plan for them, and you have victories that way. So I mean, and it's not an exact science, right? That's what I try and do. It seems to have kind of helped me survive and do some good things in this. Brian too says, by AI arms race, I mean the continued refinement of existing technology. Continued refinement meaning the torture and assassination of targeted individuals will never end. But Brian too, Brian, what do you think about 2025? Robert Duncan says that this will all be revealed to the public by 2025. What do you think about that? Brian says artificial intelligence that while being a true intelligence in the sense of having the ability to self-learn, it has a single program goal constrained within a narrow set of rules and parameters. Yeah, but Brian, you know what Elon Musk said? He said to direct artificial intelligence that they have to combine it with human beings and human beings' brains, and they're doing that with us. They're learning from our brains. They're learning from the human operators' actions and their brains too, because they have brain to computer brain interfaces. So it's like the AI is pulling data from people's brain to learn how to be more novel. How novel has it gotten is the question. Yeah, Pia Francisca says, well said, Kyle, trust God. We must trust God. We must trust good. Brian too says, in the years ahead, AI systems will be making nearly all military decisions during conflict and will be running societies and economies by way of central planning. This is inevitable. Yeah. Yeah. See this. I see that it's getting very bad, and it's all they're using a lot of algorithms to really just kind of clamp down. I know that God can create miracles in our society. And I know that people won't want to like live in such a sterile, awful world, you know, like 1984. Brian too says, I'm talking about neuro-reality paired with singularity, wherein AI evolves the ability to rewrite its own code, not artificial intelligence, but artificial superintelligence, like artificial life, like you talk about, like data. Like data can reprogram himself, he can grow, he can evolve. Like AI that can reprogram itself, and it can change its parameters. I think that already exists, but how novel is it, right? That's the question. I don't think it's novel enough to take on very, very messy human evolution situations, but that they're trying to make it more and more. Like I have a question of how far has it gone, you know? Brian says, in a world in which two equivalent superpowers are in conflict, the one with slightly worse AI loses every battle. So they must continue the training, research, and development nonstop. But you know, maybe the AI they'll still be continuing it, but maybe this targeting program, since people know about neuroweapons and now they interact with the brain, that will stop, and it will be some kind of new thing. The AI will be progressing without, well, it'll be connected to human beings' brains, but maybe not torturing people necessarily. I don't know. I can't think that far ahead. Brian too said they cannot use animals for training, research, and development in mind control technologies, artificial superintelligence. Yeah, it has to be humans' brains. Tansy asks, but will they be aware of the world they live in? Yeah, Brian says they must use real people. So Autumn says, so they must continue killing people and making more money. I just think once people understand what's happening with this, though, we can get out of this program. I think there's always going to be really bad stuff going on in the world. There's going to be the next thing. But I kind of have to focus on, like, can this program be stopped where we're being killed, where things are hooked into us and we're being, and I know that people will, yeah, maybe, you know, just the elite have so much power. But God is also powerful. And God also, I mean, we could possibly go to other planets or go underground or something. Drunken Ninja, yeah, I kind of agree with Drunken Ninja. He says most people are sheep and will live how the government tells them. Yeah, Jack Rock says that's how the TV tells them. Brian too says, now you know why so many innocent men, women, and children are being targeted, tortured, and murdered. Training, research, and development in AI, it will continue nonstop. But maybe in a different form, you know. We can't be sure what's going to happen in the future. You know, if certain like global certain people, like I can't think right now. My attackers are really stopping my brain, but certain like agencies coming together and making certain rules about AIs, making certain rules about neurotechnology, making certain rules, like if free thinking people can somehow get involved with the decision making about this technology, I think that it can be veered into another path. Now, if the elite get their way and they just tap into everybody and they keep on just treating people like cattle and devolving them, then I could see that happening. I could see it just happening nonstop in that way. I'm hoping for something different, something novel, right? AI has a hard time working with things that are novel. And the thing about organic humans, right, powered by God, is that they change. Life finds a way. It evolves into a way where it doesn't fit an algorithm. You know, I guess evolution is an algorithm, but sometimes I see things happening that can't be predicted, and that comes from God. And so I still see a lot of hope in that. I still see you know, and this is the bottom line is, you know, this could keep getting worse, right? We could get out of it though, and then, you know, it could be some other program, some other type of program trying to advance AI. But even then, even if this kept going on, it doesn't change what we have to do. It doesn't change that we have to be good people and help each other and try to make the world a better place till we die. You know, till we go to the next place, we have to try and make the world a better place. We have to bring what we should do, no matter what the future looks like, right? It kind of looked like Goliath was going to kill David. Kind of looked like that was a foregone conclusion, right? So I'd like to offer that analogy because my brain, like I read that, I've been on the live stream for a long time, so I'm, you know, but just I'd like to offer that analogy. You know, Goliath should have killed David. Goliath should have ate his bones and been done with him, but God was involved, so something different happened. And because of David's faith, something different happened. We have to delve into our faith, and not necessarily our mind, because yeah, this looks like it's going to keep getting worse, right? That's how I've been thinking a lot lately too. There's just no, you know, people aren't going to get off their butts and do something about it, but we got to get into our faith and see that maybe, just maybe, we as humans can't change this, but maybe the universe is a lot bigger than we thought. Well, I don't want to go into that because then people are going to say like, oh, well, that's the delusion, that's the deceit, is that aliens are going to come help us or other life forms or something like that. But I don't know. I don't know. The universe is big. It's not just this world. Lots of things could happen. Just think lots of things could happen. Drunken Ninja says the AI always wins unless a person gets involved. I don't think the AI with me, at least with my situation, it's not very good at dealing with the novel situation when I use when I'm random, you know, when I'm making weird jokes or being silly. It's not very good at novel situations, and I think that's going to be our strength for now. But I do see this AI getting a lot smarter, a lot more self-programming to change its own parameters. And I see it being combined with humans. It's already being done with us, along with the torture and stuff like that. Different people could take power in the world, though. I mean, the top of the pyramid has a lot of power now, money and stuff like that. But like, what is valuable to people could change. From either interference from outside forces or an evolution of what we see to be important. So we got to keep fighting, guys. We got to keep fighting for good. Brian says, neuroreality paired with singularity. Neuroreality paired with singularity, wherein AI evolves the ability to rewrite its own code. Yeah, not artificial intelligence, but artificial superintelligence. Mm-hmm. Neuroreality paired with singularity, where an AI evolves the ability to rewrite its own code. I think it already has that, Brian, because a lot of AI can connect with things in the cloud. Like there's a cloud of different AIs, and it's all kind of wireless, and so they can change their parameters by interacting with each other and interacting with novel human brains. So I think it's already possible for AI to change its own parameters. But I don't know how widespread and proliferating on the earth that is. Yeah. Okay. Pia Francesco says, Tansy says, Deborah is one brave and intelligent woman. What's going on with Deborah, guys? Deborah Tavares? So Pia Francesca says, okay, wait, Generation says, Deborah Tavares just uploaded a video about the connection of nano and 5G. Okay, is her channel just Deborah Tavares Generation? Can you put whatever channel she's on in the chat? Can you put a link to that? And then, yeah, Rev 311 Micron says, angels watch over us, but so do fallen angels, which will pretend to be being from outer space. Yeah, I know about that, but I think that the universe is teeming with life, and just like life on Earth, life in the vast expanse is going to be good and bad. So we're going to have outside forces that are evil, and we're going to have outside forces that are good. And I just believe that, and that's what I believe. And I think I just think that there's a lot of things that can happen with our knowledge of out there in the universe that could change the evil direction of our world. So I'm just going to say that. And God too, and God who's above everything in the universe can change everything. So is it just Deborah Tavares? Okay, so you're saying I'm trying to misdirect everybody. Brian, let's read. Brian too says it's called indirection. That's how they discredit you. The matter is not whether or not aliens are exist. No, I had stopped talking about what you were talking about. Like I was talking about something else. So I wasn't trying to misdirect people. And I really kind of don't appreciate you saying I'm misdirecting people when I come on and do a live stream about very pertinent information to us being targeted. I'm not trying to misdirect people. I'm just talking on my live stream. Not everything's about you, okay? So the matter is because most people don't believe in aliens, they also dismiss. I'll talk about whatever I want to talk about. Brian too says your claims of mind control as nonsensical. There's life out in the universe, man. I believe that. This is my problem, and I'm not trying to insult you, Brian. I'm saying I want to talk about things in my universe, in my world. And because I'm a targeted individual, everything I effing say has to be like, oh, I'm a targeted individual, so I gotta act like I'm normal. I can't talk about this thing over here. I can't talk about this thing. And I'm sick of it. I want to talk about stuff. And this is my channel, and that's why I probably need to take a break. That's I'm probably going to take a break in a while. And everybody, it's like if you talk about a certain thing, you're a perp or whatever. You talk about this, you're trying to misdirect people, blah blah blah. But it's stupid. Like if I wasn't doing this live stream, we'd have no live stream talking about these neuroweapons or James Giordano, so it'd be nothing. So why would anybody who is an agent or something even make a video? I would just, if I was an agent, I just wouldn't make videos. Like, and I'm not getting on you, Brian. I mean, I see what you're, okay. I'm not even going to call them aliens. I'm just saying the life, the universe is teeming with life, and I really believe that. Brian 2 says neuro-reality paired with singularity. That's how the technology works. Okay, so that is your hypothesis. You're saying neuro-reality paired with the singularity of AI actually becoming so advanced that it cannot be stopped, and it will. There's a lot of different definitions for singularity too. That's a good, yeah. I mean, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, Autumn says Kyle James Giordano is misdirecting people. Yeah, he's trying to say that this isn't happening on a large scale, that it's like little groups. But you know, the thing is, we need the correct information that he's giving out. Like, we need to look at that information, because the stuff that he is talking about is true. And what I find is that with real targeted individuals, they have a lot of good information, but then they misdirect, not on purpose. Even I may do that non-intentionally, right? That's what humans do. No human being can be right about everything in the world when you're talking about global systems. So I think that you're right, Autumn, but I think that we've got to get as much good information as we can from him, and then research everything on our own, add to it, right? Or say this isn't correct, you know, because I think that everybody, I think if we look at it bottom line, everybody misdirects people. Like Dr. Horton, Romola D, Ella, like they're all trying to do what's right. Well, I'm not going to say it because Brian's in the chat. Brian has a lot of good information, but even on some of the stuff, it's hypothesis. He goes further and makes a hypothesis about what he thinks is the crucial thing, or what's exactly going to happen, and it can't be 100% right, because as human beings we are fallible, right? But disinformation is different than misinformation. Disinformation is purposeful. It's somebody definitely trying to misdirect somebody, and yeah, misinformation is just on accident. Hey, thank you, Tansy. Tansy says hearts for Kyle. We good, you bro. I'm not trying to get mad. Like, I'm not trying to get mad. Just like, I'm just going to talk about stuff on my live stream, and you know, I want hope. Like, I know that we can look at what's happening in society and say it's just going to keep getting worse. But I believe that there's things above our understanding that are so good. They are miraculous. If we, and it's like, I think that people are getting very superstitious and fearful on the earth, and they're like, if something looks good, it's probably from the devil. This is the devil's world and stuff like that. And that's not the way I'm going to go. If I see that there's things that are good and life affirming, and I can prove that to myself, then I'm going to trust that, and I'm going to work for those things. I think there's a lot of confusion and a lot of mistrust, even with good people and good things. And people are like, well, Satan looks like a beautiful angel. He's full of light. He's going to be nice and do a lot of nice things, and then he's going to kill you. You know, I think that's like, okay, so wait, so we trust mean people who murders right off the bat? I mean, you know, what's going on there? So it's just too confusing, where you've got to bottom line stuff and say, this person's doing good stuff. They might not be right about everything, but we need some information from them. We just got to bottom line things and not get ourselves in a tizzy about like, oh, who do we trust? And we can't trust anybody. And, you know, so, I mean, that's what I'm going to do. Autumn says, Dr. Ronnie Lena is important. She explains very good what's happening. Yeah. Thanks, Tansy. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, sister. Warrior woman. Love you, Tansy. So Brian 2 says, let's see, Brian 2, what he thinks about Dr. Giordano. Says Giordano is using disinformation, misinformation, misdirection, and evening misattribution to redirect the, how do you, you're targeted, how do you use these words, Brian? Like, how do you, my vocab has been so screwed up. You got a great vocab. I'm just saying, great vocab. Brian 2 says, Giordano is using disinformation, misinformation, misdirection, and even misattribution to redirect the narrative away from American government atrocities and neuro warfare between Americans and Chinese and Russians. Giordano is a government perpetrator. But at the baseline, Brian, he is giving good information about what they're using neuroweapons for, right? So we've got to take the good information by this expert, and I think he is. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think he's trying not to incriminate America and American agencies for doing this. I think you're exactly right. How purposeful is that, though? I mean, how purposeful is that? Do you think he's like a paid government perpetrator? Because he talks about neuroethics. He talks about neuroethics. It's that thing of like, oh, well, he's talking about good stuff. It's gotten way too confusing, is my bottom line. It's gotten too confusing and nobody trusts anybody. We've got to find a way past that. It's not going to be me that finds a way past it, probably. Yeah, Pia Francisco, great comment. Thank you. Kyle, we have to look at all the info. Just like Bill Cooper said, don't believe anyone. He said, don't even believe me. Research it for yourself, look into it for yourself, right? So, but I think talking about it is good. Like talking about it, reading the information. I like from my experiences of what my attackers are trying to do to me, I look at Dr. Giordano's baseline information, just like I look at a lot of Brian 2's information. I say, wow, okay, I don't want to put them in the same batch, right? With what's going on with me, I look at Dr. Giordano's information. I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Like what he's talking about, weapons of mass disruption, really trying to degrade people's mental states and things like that. So a lot of the things can be proven by my experiences that what he's saying are true. But then you're right, he stays away from talking about what these agencies are really doing. Yeah, so limited hangouts. So Autumn in New Zealand says, well said, he is a perpetrator. Tansy says, none of us, including Brian, know everything. If we did, we would be able to end this. Yeah, I agree, Tansy. I agree. Yeah, he is. Like, I mean, Giordano does work, but he does work for these programs, right? But he is putting out information we can use, right? He's putting out information that can help us survive about like so it's like we've got to somehow balance it by using the truthful information that he's putting out. Brian 2 says it's called a limited hangout. Yeah, Drunken Ninja says Superman will end it and finally catch the Roadrunner. Yeah, I just trust in God. I think all this has got, it gets so confusing and nobody trusts anybody that it's like I have to let those things go. And I hope I mean, just take care of yourself, protect yourself. But I can't get my mind into a cycle of like, well, I can't trust anybody anymore. There are good people in this world, and that's my bottom line. Good people will fight for good, and I want to trust people. I want to take that risk sometimes, but I probably don't trust Dr. James Giordano. Autumn says it's so hard and painful to listen to Giordano. It really is. My heart was broken because I thought that if he's talking about neuroethics, that he would be talking about all of this. Brian too says, Giordano is engaging in limited hangouts to control the narrative and redirect the narrative away from American shadow government and neuro warfare. He does talk about neuro warfare though. Like he does talk about like it being used on the battlefield and stuff like that. He just, it's like he tells the truth until he gets to the part where it's governmental, it's American governmental agencies experimenting on citizens. It's like he says a bunch of true stuff and stuff that we need to know, and just he excludes that part. But then it's like in some of his presentations, he says it between the lines. He says the cat's already out of the bag, the can of worms already open. Some nations are taking shortcuts to learn more about neuroweapons. So it's like out in the open, when somebody asks him directly, he doesn't mention it, but then he kind of does between the lines. So I just think he does have information that we need, right? That's kind of bottom line. He has information that we need. But I think the American public would look at him and be like, oh, well, this isn't going on to us, which is a lie. Pia Francesca says, what is a limited hangout? Like a limited hangout's when somebody like Alex Jones kind of, he comes on, he talks about a lot of things. He says, oh, we got to beat the New World Order and stuff, but then he doesn't really talk about Israel. He doesn't talk about, he doesn't talk about neuroweapons and targeting and stuff like that. He's a limited hangout where he talks about enough stuff to, like Q. He kind of lets the people who are about to blow their tops, he lets them blow off steam, right? They say, oh, we're talking about this. At least we're talking about this. He lets them blow off steam, but he doesn't go all the way, right? So he's like a limited hangout where he's talking about some things that people think are important, but he's not going all the way with it. He's not just telling the truth and the full truth. And I think that's what James Giordano does. So Generation says he didn't give any solution, countermeasure, or protection, nor who to contact in the agencies or government. Yeah, the only thing he said was like go to a medical professional and tell them you're being hit by these weapons, which if we do, we get put into a mental facility. So that's because his point was right. He said, medical professionals need to know more about these weapons so that they can treat what's happening to people who are being hit by these weapons. So he made that point, but then he was like, you need to go to a doctor and tell them that you're being hit by these weapons. He said you need to find a doctor who knows about these weapons, right? He said you need to find a doctor who has some experience with these weapons, but there are none. Yeah, there are none. Hey, HR Puffenstuff. Yeah, Tansy, you're right. Tansy says, I think we give each other more help than the so-called professionals. I'd say that's right on the money. We're all we have right now. That's why we've got to find some trust. Like, and the thing is, it's like, I know a lot about this. I know a lot about defenses and stuff like this. Brian too would disagree with me on a lot of the stuff that I use for defense. It doesn't mean I'm a perp or a limited hangout or anything like that. We're going to have to find ways to look at information and look at the logical thing about people. Do people ever get anything right? Do people ever get everything right? No. Nobody in the world, not even Einstein, knew everything about everything, right? Not even the smartest people know everything about everything. We have to first understand what a human does. Like we have to first understand what even the most intelligent human beings, even when they're at full strength and full intelligence and full health, they're not going to get everything right. It's ridiculous. And I think that some people do base their life on the premise that everything has to be what they believe or it's wrong. And then you're going to think everybody's lying. I think we got to know what we got to go back to maybe some common sense about human beings. I mean, that's just my opinion. I use common sense about what's a good human being look like. Do they make mistakes? Yeah, make mistakes. Do they know everything? Definitely not. Do they try to help people and get things as right as they can? Yeah. I mean, so it's a common sense thing, you know. And I think when people are afraid, and me too, with this targeting, we lose our common sense. Our brain is going in all these different directions. We get paranoid, and then it's just like, we just don't trust anybody. Like I'm there. Like I'm there. I mean, I trust a lot of you guys, but y'all know what I'm saying. Drunken Ninja says Alex Jones fluoride is making the frogs gay. See, so Brian too says, Kyle, you were talking chatterbots. So let's use that as an example. Brian won't care because we disagree on some stuff, but I do like Brian. He's very important. The information that he puts out is very important. But you guys aren't chatterbots, right? Y'all are real target individuals. Tansy's come on my live streams, and and Ella Advocate's been on live on my panels and stuff like that. So Brian has a lot of good information, but on that, he's incorrect. Like all of you guys are not chatterbots, right? I've talked to a lot of y'all on the phone. So that's a human being, right? Brian's not trying to put out disinformation. He has a lot of great information. But he doesn't get everything right because he has a certain, let me talk about me. I stopped talking about Brian because he put a lot of good information in chat. I don't get everything right. Like, even when I say, like the ZVS driver, I'm a little bit confused about the ZVS driver right now. It helps certain layers of this, but I feel like it may be kind of making my attackers maybe working off of the electromagnetic field it's creating. Like, it took a month to do that. And so I'm kind of questioning that right now, but I'm trying things. I'm trying to get things right. But human beings make mistakes. Where you're going to get in trouble. This is for everybody, right? Where you're going to get in trouble is if you don't think you can make mistakes. If you think you're right about everything, you're going to get into a lot of trouble because you're going to go down pathways that you can't pull yourself back from, and you can't correct yourself, and you have to as a human being. So I think maybe before we go, you're going to get in trouble if you don't think you can make mistakes, or if you don't think others should make mistakes, or if you think everybody should think like you, exactly what you think about something, because the world is so complicated and messy. Yeah, Autumn says, unfortunately, the pain and torture is real. It definitely is. It's very real. Very, very real. Yeah. Yeah. H&R Puff itself. If they are going to kill me, then I may as well try to do something. We have nothing to lose, guys. It's a catch-22. We're damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't, in a material sense, right? In the being tortured sense. I'm not saying we're damned, because a lot of us are going to the next life or going to heaven and stuff, and we've got powers for good on our side. But whether you isolate yourself or you put yourself out there are pros and cons to both. There's a lot of cons with isolating yourself and not fighting against this. There's a lot of cons with coming out and fighting it. You've got to weigh those things. You may have to try things, Yeah, Brian too says a limited hangout is the use of half-truths with disinformation to disguise the truth. Yeah. But you got to be able to separate that from a human being talking about a subject, because as human beings, not everybody gets everything right? So even I have questions still about Alex Jones, like why he kind of dismisses some things that he should really talk about. Is he doing it on purpose, or is he just talking about like his corner and his angle of things that he sees, and maybe the world is just really big and you can't cover every angle of global subjects because there's so many angles to them. And that's why we are, as humanity, a bunch of people on this earth. And that's why the other side, if you look at the other side, the evil side, our perpetrators, the microwavers, the gang stalkers, these people, the think tanks and everything, it's not one person deciding how to do this or directing the AI. It's a bunch of people. It's a bunch of people doing it. So we've got to kind of look at that, and we got to say, well, I'm one person. Can I really understand every angle of a global system and all the corruption in the world? Of course not. Of course not. So we have to work together. Yeah, yeah. That's very true, Tansy. I think Socrates also said that. Tansy says in the Bible, it says the smartest man is the man who knows he doesn't know everything. That's exactly true. We can't learn if we think that we're right about everything. And that's just, I just know that to be true. Yeah, Brian, the people in chat aren't chatterbots. Ellis, I am a chatterbot. It really, a lot of these people, Brian, have been on my panels and stuff. See, just like that, like my attackers made my nose itch and I scratched it. Are some of you guys going to think I'm an agent? Like, I thought about it while I was doing it. My nose itches right here. Like I sit on these live streams for like hours at a time, and I don't like scratch my nose a lot and stuff. But I'm just like, I could be doing many numbers of things that trigger TIs and not even know it. And I feel like we've got to look at a bigger picture. We got to look at a bigger picture. Ascend from all the little details that drag you down, and fight the big fights that you need to fight. It's the most important thing. Yeah, Drunken Ninja says, I'm not a chatterbot. I don't chat enough. The woman on my V2K is just like, she's like, this is sick. This is sick. Because she sees me helping people, and the psyop, she's supposed to be good or whatever. Oh, and then the guy, what'd the guy say? It's just a woman talking right now. Okay, the guy chimed in and he says he is crazy. Okay, so Brian 2 says the American shadow government controls the so-called mainstream media. What the shadow government cannot control is the internet because it is decentralized. So they flood the internet with disinformation and misinformation to drown out the truth. Well, Brian, can you tell me this? Who do you not think is misinformation? Like what targeted individual? Because there has to be, right? Like you can't be the only targeted individual in the world telling the truth. So what targeted individual that's speaking out besides Robert Duncan do you think is not an agent? I'd like to ask you that. Yeah, Rev, that's exactly my point. Rev 311 Micron says we can't let them sensitize us to everyday things. We can't get mired down in the details, guys, because our attackers use that stuff. They use the details, and when we're fighting these little battles, and it's like if I was like, oh, somebody's name in chat, like it looks like it may be a cyber stalker or something, and I spent the whole live stream on that, we wouldn't be getting things done. And that's what they try and do. But yeah, I'll read what you said, Brian. Brian says pattern recognition easily identifies chatterbots. Yeah, I think pattern recognition identifies like my vehicular stalking. It identifies a lot of the, visual injections and emotional injections my remote neural manipulation does. You got to be careful though, because with targeted individuals, sometimes targeted individuals get in an emotional loop and they may say the same thing sometimes. Like, Brian, you say a lot of the same things. Like you have the things that you talk about. So if I was going by pattern recognition, I'd say Brian says the same things over and over. He must be an agent. But I know you're not. I know you're not an agent, right? I know you're not an agent. But we got to be careful with those things too. There's just complication. There's complication. You've got to use logic and use your instinct to know if somebody's telling the truth. I just think Rosalind R says Robert Duncan is questionable to me. I believe him. I think Robert Duncan is who he says he is. I really do. He's not a rich man. He's not living high on the hog. He's actually, his life has been very, very hurt by all the work that he's done. You can look at what's happened to him. If he was somebody who the government put out to put out misinformation and stuff like that, he would be very rich. You wouldn't see him much. You wouldn't see him come into these small little channels. He goes to like he went to Frank. Well, Frank has a pretty big radio show. You wouldn't see him doing it. If he was a government perpetrator, he would not be going to those smaller, like the smaller radio shows and stuff like that. You'd see him, he'd be really rich and really well off and really healthy, which I think, I think maybe he's even targeted. And you'd see him on something every once in a while that's really high production value or something like that. Brian 2 says the cyber stalkers are used in conjunction with chatterbots. They have the cyber stalkers come on your video conferencing and then use chatterbots to make you believe you're talking to the real people. Oh, okay. Brian 2 says Romola D is a real TI. So Brian 2 endorses Romola D. Brian, I talked to these people on my panel, like Wayne and Tansy and Ella Advocate. They're real targeted individuals. Maybe go back and watch some of those. They're not cyber stalking thugs. Rosalind D says Dr. John Hall helped me. Yeah, I really recommend listening to Dr. John Hall too. Okay, Brian 2 says Dr. Eric Karlstrom is also a real TI. So Brian 2 says Romola D is a real TI. I don't even want to ask him. I don't want to ask him if he thinks I'm a real TI at this point. Ah, boy. I feel like Sam on Quantum Leap. Every minute I'm awake. Yeah, have you ever seen the beginning of Quantum Leap where he leaps into somebody into this situation that's just like, yeah, and he says, oh boy, I feel like that every second of my life. Tansy says, Brian, I'm a TI and MK Ultra victim, and I'm so sick. And I have a rich history with Sonic games and French. Wait, whoa, went to the. Brian, I'm a TI and MK Ultra victim, and I'm so sick of your cruel and demeaning attitude towards myself and Kyle Subs. It does, Brian. People get mad at you. Can I just say this? Can I just say people get mad at you because they are real targeted individuals, and you're just. It's very like you're saying you're trying to help targeted individuals, but then you really insult them and you make them like, because they're going through real pain and you're just like, oh, y'all are all chatterbots. And I see that it's actually affecting your videos. It's affecting the thumbs down that you're getting on your videos. You need a lot of these people are real targeted individuals, Brian. Brian 2 says the people coming on your conference videos are chatterbots. You don't think they're all chatterbots, right? Okay, let's get off of this. Let's get off of this. You got a lot of great information, Brian. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say. And just, you have a lot of really important information. I think as targeted individuals, we're all remote neural manipulated, and we can all be, our mind can just, Ryan says, real cyberstalkers and artificial intelligence, special language software. I do not communicate with anyone but Kyle and answer only him directly. Okay, Brian 2 says, otherwise chat screen is off and volume muted. Yeah, I got to take the risk, And I know like a lot of these people I talk to on the phone, I see how much pain they're in. Like Ella Advocate, her children are being targeted. Tansy, Wayne, I've talked to Wayne, like I can see their pain. Like I can see them in pain, when they come on. And, I think there's a certain percent, I think you're right. You're right that there are maybe chatterbots and there are cyber stalkers. But the percentage that you think it is, the number that you think it is, I disagree with you on. I think it's less. I think there's way more real targeted individuals flooding these channels, flooding Romola D's chats, and then there's strategically placed people and chatterbots to screw us up. But you can easily get sensitized to the strategically placed ones and then maybe think that a lot more people are. I like that saying though. I like that government informants turn into agent provocateurs. I think that's very true. I think that I definitely don't think everybody's chatterbots in my chat. Definitely not. But I do think that that's a good way to say it, because I think this system is so corrupt that people are signing up to be informants. But then, since this is using neuroweapons and remote neural manipulation and all these gang stalking tactics, it ends up being an agent provocateur. They sign up to be an informant because there's no transparency in the system. It's just gone to this level where, like, oh, you're going to say things to that targeted individual that are going to trigger him or her, and then your attackers are going to remote neural manipulate and work with that. And it's just become so corrupt and just gone out of control that somebody who, like, maybe thinks that they're an informant, they become an agent provocateur working along with the remote neural manipulation, even if they don't know it. Even if they're told to, like, say something to you or do something to you, it's like incorporated into your mind control, you know. You should meet some of them. You disagree, Brian. You're saying the percentage is 80 to 90%. See, I think the opposite. I'm opposite of you. I'd say 10% is pretty high, a high number. They don't have enough resources to do that. Like, you know, this is the thing, guys. Why would they put real people, a lot of real people, like, fill up my chat room with real people, when they can remote neural manipulate my brain into thinking everybody is a chatbot? Do you see my logic there, Brian? They don't need to put real chatterbots 80%. That's a lot of resources when the remote neural the neuroweapons will do the job. When the neuroweapons will make you paranoid and think that there's 80% or 90% there. Ella Advocate says, Kyle, I don't understand why he's pedantic on chats. We get subliminals and patterns and dialogue conditioning and entrainment even when going to Kmart. My son zoned out at the cash register. Yeah. Ella Advocate says, I get triggered by housing department for crying out loud. I don't need a chat room for that. Hello. Yeah, well, I mean, I hope none of you guys feel bad about it. You know, we're supporting each other. We got to understand that all targeted individuals were going through stuff, so don't take things personally. How somebody may say something, may think things are a certain way. Don't take that personally. You know, you got a lot of targeted individuals in here who know that you're real and stuff like that. So just don't take it personally. Brian says, most organized stalkers and cyber stalkers are mind control victims, but don't know it because the technology is designed to mimic the normal cognitive behavior of the target. Yeah, that's what my attackers throughout this all, it was very, very noticeable at first. Like, I could tell it easily, but now they've gone so long, they've conditioned my brain, done so much stuff in my sleep, so much trauma, that it really blends in with my own thinking. And I have to really watch it. I have to use my heart. I have to get with God on it to, you know, get certain things out. And then sometimes I'm sure I make mistakes, and I'm like maybe paranoid of somebody that's really a targeted individual, and it's like, it seems like my instinct or something like that. Yeah, Brian too says it would have been better for them that they had never been born. Yeah, some of those people, some of those gang stalkers, and I think that my microwave attackers, the hive mind on there, I mean, I think they're definitely mind controlled to be more violent and to not care as much and stuff like that. Tansy says, yes, I feel triggered too, Ella. Maybe, Brian, could I say maybe when you come in here, like, because, you know, you have great information. So I want you to, you know, come in and participate if you want to. But let's not say that anymore. Maybe you can know that or whatever, but it hurts, it triggers target individuals. So in this roundabout way, right, you're kind of setting off their remote neural manipulation when you're saying something that you don't think is really hurting them. So just be careful about that, man. Brian too says they are helping the cognitive researchers hunt down the human soul, will, intellect, and emotion of mind control victims. Yeah, I still don't think they haven't found our connection to God. It seems like everything that I'm connected to God with, or like my grandfather, or like the afterlife, it's like they can't see it. And it's like, think about it, like when we die, they would see nothing. our attackers would see nothing. Everything would go black, right? But we would be in the next life. So some of these things they can't connect with because it's not really frequency and energy. It is beyond our science, our known science of frequency and energy. Those are some of the things I grab into to survive, you know? That's a very ironic thing. Brian, you may want to hear this. This is a mother, a targeted individual mother who I'm very sure is a targeted individual. Her children are being targeted. Listen to what she's saying, Brian, because I really care about you, and I think you're a good man. Like, I think you really want to help people, and you've got a lot of good information. She says, lucky I can't see his comments. He's the one who's generating and implementing synaptic response for neural RNM data. You see, a lot of real targeted individuals on here, they get their feathers ruffled by what you're saying because they respect your information, right? They respect your channel and your information, but then you're coming in here and you won't, you know, you don't have to talk to them. You know, just think about that, man. Just think about that. We'll move forward, guys. And Brian has a lot of good information. Just don't take it personally. Brian is a good guy. He's a good guy, and he doesn't mean to hurt. He doesn't mean to hurt people, and he's very smart about this stuff. Remember that he's going through hell too. He's going through remote neural manipulation too. Let's just remember that. We all are. Advocate says Tansy bot. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to shut it down. Let me read Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan says, yeah, I'm out of here. Way too much attention to someone not contributing in a positive manner. Later fellow Realty Eyes. If you think I'm a fake, then watch a couple of my videos. Peace. Okay, so everybody check out Shaka Khan's videos. CHAKKA space KON. Yeah, I see your point. I like Brian. He's my friend. We all have flaws, you know, and we're all dealing with something that's so hard. So please, can I ask you guys to have compassion for him? And he has a lot of great information, a lot of important information that people need. But can I just ask y'all, especially the people like maybe throwing shade to his channel, don't take things so personally from people who are going through this, right? You know, we could all maybe let's boost our compassion, boost our empathy. Let's boost it, even though this is all confusing and we're all kind of messed up, right? Right. So let's do that. All right, Rosalind, thank you for coming. Rosalind says thanks, Kyle and chatters. Pia Francesca says bye, Shaka Khan. All right, guys. And Autumn says Ella Advocate, very good sense of humor. Yeah, there's some funny jokes. I feel like I always, well, I really like all real target individuals, and I have a lot of compassion, and I think that they all have something very important to add, you know, very intelligent stuff. Brian says a lot. Just think of, he says some super crucial stuff. He's right about a neuro society. A lot of the things that have helped me survive this, Brian has said. You know, like them building a neuro society. They're doing training, research, and development, and a bunch of other really important stuff. So, yeah. Okay, that's very important. I'm going to end it on that one, Ella Advocate. Ella Advocate says, Autumn, we have to learn how to quickly switch on the positive, or we'd sit and dwell on it. LOL. That's wisdom right there. We're going to end it on that wisdom, guys. And I'll see you all in the next one. I love y'all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, guys. Tansy says, Chaka, chat to you later, sweetheart. I love you guys. Y'all just stay strong, okay? Yeah, Bidgie Sanders says Brian's big comments are deleted. Yeah. A lot of target individuals do that. They just don't want to deal with the, you know, negativity and stuff like that. All right, I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Just stay strong. I like what David Irwin says, and you know, it's a regular thing that people say, endure in faith. Endure in faith. Let's keep reaching past just frequency and energy, past just this material world, right? Let's keep reaching. It's there. There are higher powers that love us, that love human life. God at the top, right? God at the top. All right. Hey, Barefoot, you came in right at the end. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you on the next one. All right. Love y'all.